morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Monday, it's the 4th of March. Wow. Hope you had a nice weekend. I had a fantastic time. Went to Cliveden House and got lost in a maze. The first time I've been in a maze for, 25 years. Took my 3-year-old boy and my 1-year-old. I thought they'd be terrified, to be honest. And I did think this isn't going to last very long. And it will end in tears. Oh, not at all. They loved it. They loved it. They're wandering around. Well, we've been this way, and this way's a dead end. Wonderful fun. Anyway, it's Monday, and there's lots coming up on the show this morning. As always, keen to get your opinions and your takes on a lot of these stories. Some of the things we're talking about include people should not be attracted to the UK just by the benefits available. Well, that's according to William Hague. The government is looking at changing the rules. How bad is fly tipping where you live? It's one of those things really annoys me. As I get older, it annoys me. If you're taking a mattress somewhere and you're going to dump it well, why not just take it to the dump? Why not go those extra few miles and take it to the dump? Don't just dump it on a lay-by. Well, it happened so much outside a Luton couple's home that the council put up a sign warning people not to do it. And then the council's own contractors went and dumped rubbish. And do you remember on Friday we told you about the £8,000 cheque that was still hidden in Milton Keynes Gallery? I used the phrase still hidden very, very loosely. Was it a hoax? Well, all be revealed with our art correspondent Justin Dealey in about half an hour's time. It's a fascinating story. Lots of ways, as always, to get in touch. Facebook.com/BBC 3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR, put your name on it, please. Or, start of the show, the lines are all of the lines are free. Do you want to be the first caller on the show? 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm keen to get your fake tan stories as well. There's an article in one of the newspapers about how we're all opting for slightly darker fake tans. And I kind of put this out in the office. Who gets a fake tan these days? It turns out everyone does. Nearly everyone. Why would you bother with a fake tan? We'll discuss the fake tan fiasco, I'm calling it. I'm calling it a fake tan fiasco, just for my own pleasure, a little bit later on in the show. Now, changes to the rules governing access to benefits, healthcare and housing for British citizens are being considered by the government. They want to make it more difficult for new arrivals in the UK to access these forms of welfare. Councils will be urged to use new powers to give priority to those on housing waiting lists with local connections. Well, our reporter Catherine Boyle, I know, has been following this story all weekend. Catherine, this all has to do with what's called benefit tourism.
That's right.
Which William Hague was talking about over the weekend.
Yeah, he said that this benefit tourism must end. This is ahead of the lifting of work restrictions on Romanians and Bulgarians who've been in since 2007 in the EU. Mr Hague told the BBC that people shouldn't be attracted to the UK just because of the benefits available, and said some people were coming in for artificial and perverse incentives. He thinks that they should be removed, those incentives. So he admitted that the government had no magic figure about how many Romanians and Bulgarians might move to the UK when controls expire in 2014. But one immigration pressure group estimates around 50,000 people will move to the UK every year. The Foreign Secretary said any attempt to estimate that number, though, will be guesswork.
A guesstimate, the cross between a guess and an estimate.
That's right.
What has the Department of Health said?
The Department of Health confirmed that the government was examining a wide range of options to revise entitlement to free NHS services. That came after the Sunday Times reported ministers were considering making immigrants wait for up to a year before being able to seek non-emergency hospital care.
How long have people from Romania and Bulgaria been free to live in the UK?
Since 2007, but in the UK they've either had to apply for a limited work permit or been self-employed or worked in a specific job, such as a sort of seasonal, agricultural or domestic role. Under EU rules, though, those temporary restrictions must come to an end at the beginning of 2014, after which Romanian and Bulgarian migrants will have the same right to live and work in the UK as of those of any other EU countries. So that includes access to benefits in the NHS. Ministers think that the impact of the temporary work restrictions and the fact that 8 other EU countries are also ending their restrictions at the same time as the UK make forecasting the number of Romanian and Bulgarian migrants who might come to the UK. Difficult to say the least.
And what have lobby groups said about this?
Well, Migration Watch, which, as you might suspect, supports tighter immigration controls, has predicted this 50,000 Bulgarians and Romanian number that will come to the UK every year when these restrictions are lifted. And it analysed migration from other European countries and the number of Bulgarians and Romanians already in the UK before making this estimate.
Catherine Boyle, thank you very much. Go back upstairs to your tiny box, please.
I will do.
Thank you. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. So listen, there's a story in the Daily Mail. Of course it's the Daily Mail. It's Britain's favourite newspaper. It may not sell the most, but it's certainly the one we enjoy the most, isn't it? Isn't it? Oh. A golden tan, we'd rather be orange. A new super dark self-tanner is outselling light products by 3 to 1. It accounts for 50% of fake tan sold. The sales of fake tanning products are worth £100 million a year in the UK. £100 million! I don't know much about fake tans, and we will be crossing later on in the show to our fake tan correspondent, Justin Dealey, who I believe has been putting in over 30 years' worth of research just for this very show. I don't get... he has. I don't get fake... But, boy, he's got a... Well, he's more of a sunbed person, I think, and he's got a story about sunbeds that I don't think he can tell on the radio. We'll see. We'll see if we can get him to phrase it gently. I don't get why you would have the fake tan or why you would go for the sunbed. If I'm on holiday and I catch a bit of a tan, well, that's fine, that's fair enough. But I make do with what God has given me. The girls the girls in the office were saying, the ladies who work here with me, my female colleagues, were saying, well, they don't like being pale and pasty. I don't think they're pale and pasty. I like pale and pasty. And I don't get how it works. There are different ones, aren't there? There are the ones you spray on yourself. There are the creams that you rub on. Is that right? Is that right? The creams you rub on. And you kind of just have to let them soak into your skin. And then there are these booths that you stand in and you put like £1 in or something. And you get a pair of paper pants. Well, how good is it going to be if you put £1 in? That can't be any good, can it? I don't know if that... Listen, I may have got this completely wrong. I'm kind of at the edge of my knowledge. If you've had one of these fake tans, these spray tans, or these sunbeds, could you give me a call? There's a few things I want to ask you. The first question is why? Why? 08459 455 555. Because if you've got... You know we can tell you've got fake tan on, yeah? You know that everyone is going, they've got fake tan, you look silly. 08459 455 555. I need your fake tan stories, please, if they've gone hideously wrong. Or if you think they have revolutionised your life and turned it round for the better, I'd be keen to hear that as well. I just don't get them. I don't want to say... I kind of think there's something a little bit sad about the fake tan. You don't need it. What? You don't need it. 08459 455 555. I'm after your fake tan stories this morning, please. Can you defend the fake tan? And has it ever gone wrong? I'm sure it must have done. It's all streaky, isn't it?
Sophie Tyler, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sophie, you're a young lady. You go out, you have a social life. Mm-hmm. Do you ever use the fake tan?
No, I can't pull it off. I'm too pale and have red hair.
I don't think anyone can pull it off. That's the... Do your friends do it?
Do you know, not so much anymore, actually.
Excellent stuff, Sophie. Well, you're a sensible person some of the time, it would appear. It's an annoying thing, isn't it? No, not the fine young cannibals, although it could be argued. But no. Fly tipping. I hate it. I'm such a grumpy old man. I'm getting into practice. I just worked out, where are we now? It's March the 4th, 3 months. 3 months, 5 days, 40 years old. 3 months, 5 days, 40 years old. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going off. I just keep having these little breakdowns. I'll try and keep them to myself. Fly tipping. A Luton couple got so fed up with rubbish being dumped outside their property over the years that the council put up a no fly tipping sign. Fantastic! But then the council contractors are the latest people to ignore the warning. Go to the Facebook page. There's a picture of the sign, the side of their house, and the stuff that this couple claim has been dumped by council contractors. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Have a look at that while listening to this report. It happened outside Jerry and Mandy Galvin's house in Denham Close. Well, our reporter Iain Duncan spoke to Mandy, who explained what happened.
We returned home from work to find a large amount of rubbish fly tip next to our house, the adjoining wall of our house. The mess that was left there this week was actually left there by contractors who are refurbishing kitchens within the area. So obviously we're a bit shocked that these contractors who were responsible to the council were dumping the rubbish there and not taking it away in a skip as, you know, they should. We did immediately phone the council. In fact, my husband phoned the 24-hour emergency line because he was so worried, but they didn't do anything. So my husband had to move the rubbish over to the other side of the road just so that, you know, it wouldn't affect our house. Nothing happened. The next night we returned home to find more rubbish, and that's when we did actually email the council with photographs. My husband took photographs.
How often has this happened down the years?
I think probably about 7 times in total, really, but this has been the worst occasion.
What items were left by the side of the house this time?
A lot. Probably a whole kitchen or maybe 2 kitchens, or, you know, it went along half the side of the house. Kitchens that have been taken out, old units, tiles, flooring, just building rubbish, really. Probably about half, a small skipful, say, yeah.
I gather on a previous occasion some of the materials that were left by the house were set on fire. What happened then?
It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was quite a long time ago, so the children were only quite little, maybe about 4 and 6. And there was a knock on the door, and it was actually a young lad. I think what had happened, I think him and his friends had set fire to it, and he sort of got a bit worried because he noticed that there was a gas bottle by the side, and he'd obviously called the fire engine in the meantime, and the fire engine had to come. We got evacuated. It wasn't bad, but it could have been bad, and it was just like smoke coming up. And my daughter does sleep on the end bedroom, so it was a bit worrying, really. But there are a lot of decent, hard-working people in Marsh Farm, and we take pride in our property. And, you know, and it just does bring the area down, and it does make people think, oh, you know, Marsh Farm is full of scumbags, and we're not all like that.
Do you feel you got a good response from the council in the end?
In the end, but, you know, I just think, why should we have to, you know, they should have come and, well, firstly, it shouldn't have happened in the first place, but they should have come out that evening.
What do you feel are the risks when the rubbish is left?
If it's kitchens that have been torn out, you don't know, there could be nails in there, screws or anything, you know, children could hurt themselves on them. That would be my concern. Especially, I mean, luckily not this week, but last week it was half term. If had done it then, you know what children are like, they'd just treat it as a game, start climbing all over it.
And it can't be much fun having to move it away. Your husband's having to do that. It wastes his time.
It was raining that night as well, and, you know, and he was out there a good 20 minutes, you know, lugging it from one side of the road to the other, and, you know, and he said it didn't smell very pleasant either.
But that's the annoying thing about this instance. That sign is there and the rubbish was put right underneath it.
I mean, we've got the photograph. You know, it does actually make a mockery of it. It says no fly tipping, and then they dump a load of it. It's just a mockery. It's laughable, really. Well, it's not funny, but, you know, you have to... just can't believe it, really.
Are you surprised they didn't bring a skip with them in the first place?
It's just standard building procedure, isn't it, really? You know, it's like they're probably trying to cut corners and maybe, you know, not have to use a skip, but I would have thought it'd be standard procedure, really.
And Bernie Robertson, who lives nearby, portrayed a similar picture.
We get quite a bit of rubbish put outside by people, but the biggest problem I find is that it's not getting collected either.
What sort of things get dumped?
Boxes, furniture, anything really. Not rubbish. The rubbish is put in the bins, it's just other bulky items.
Presumably it detracts from the area?
You seem to have it in certain spaces on the street, and it's usually left in those spaces. It's not dumped everywhere. So there'll be corners of the street where people will put rubbish out.
Have you tried to have some action taken to remove it?
Yeah, we phone the council on a regular basis. Bulky items can be arranged quite easily through the council to be collected, and then we do ring and complain about other things. We had a neighbour fall over, an elderly neighbour, on cardboard that had been left outside, and we ended up having to clear that up ourselves.
How bad was that incident?
She cut her face and she was on the floor for a little while. and we ended up having to clear that up because nobody else, no council had come out and done it for us. You find that people do put the boxes out on recycling days, but they don't get collected either. So we find it's more of, a council issue, and people just, the bulky items, that's just pure laziness, to be honest.
Do you feel you get a good response from the council in general when you need it?
No, not really. Not where we, complain about things happening and people hurting themselves because they haven't picked up the rubbish. Many occasions you will be able to stand here and see the council van drive past, knowing that they've just driven past rubbish laying on the floor.
And just behind us, by the side of what looks like a block of flats, we've got some rubbish, big pieces of cardboard.
Yeah, very much so. We've had a bit of a problem with some people throwing rubbish out of the flats. It has been reported, but that seems to have stopped, thankfully, apart from the cardboard boxes, but then we wouldn't know where they come from. So they've been there for over a week now, and I'm sure the council's come down on a regular basis. I think every area's got it. I think it's all over the place. You've walked down this street today where there's quite a bit here. I think it's everywhere.
Is it difficult for the council to clear it all up when it happens over such a large area?
Yeah, maybe, but when they drive down the street and then still drive past the rubbish, that's when you have to question, why? Why have they just driven past it and left it? And that does happen on quite a regular basis.
Well, Luton Borough Council says it can confirm that the offending items originally left by the Gavins' house have been removed from the area. It apologises to residents unreservedly for this unacceptable situation, and it will ensure a thorough investigation is undertaken. Go and have a look. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. The pictures there. It's pretty awful. A lot of boxes and wood and some shelving and stuff. How bad is fly tipping where you live? 08459 455 555. Want to know? It's one of those things. Oh, it annoys me. I know there are bigger things in the world, but it's one of those things that does really, really annoy me. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Facebook.com/BBC3CR.
And that's your latest news and sport. More from me at 7 o'clock.
You're a pale lady.
Yes.
Would you go for the, what do you call it, the sun fake tan thing?
I have in the past, and it's almost always been a disaster.
Why would you do it?
Well, because I'm sort of a Irish Colleen type, sort of freckly and white,
yes,
and almost glow in the dark.
But that's a night. People like that.
They don't. I had years of torment at school when I used to get my legs out in the summer. Milk bottle. Oh. Spook, they used to call me.
Ooh. Are they not calling you milk bottle just because those really thick glasses you wear? Is that not it? That's why I call you it.
Oh.
So what did you have? Did you have the cream? Did you have the spray?
I've tried everything, but, when you're coming from a starting point of almost blue, it always shows up, so it always ends up streaky, and I always end up looking rubbish.
OK, well, we'll speak to you in about half an hour, milk bottle. Thanks very much.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I like the pale. Men, I'm speaking to men specifically here. Do you prefer the pale or the orange? It's a simple thing. The pale or the orange? Which way do you go? I don't like the orange. It looks... doesn't it look weird? And then, if they have a shower and bits of it come off, no. Gentlemen, on the texts, a little text vote, scientific text vote, OK? 81333, start your text 3CR, put your name on. The pale lady or the orange lady? You can give us a call as well if you want, 08459 455 555. Coming up in the next 30 minutes of the show. Remember on Friday, we told you about the £8,000 cheque that was hidden in Milton Keynes Gallery. Was it a hoax? Well, all will be revealed with our arts correspondent, Justin Dealey, in just a few minutes. On the subject of fly tipping that we were talking about just before the news on Facebook, Trudy says, oh my. She doesn't say oh my, that's me saying oh my. I'm trying to paint the scene. If you want to see the picture of this fly tipping, facebook.com/BBC3CR. Trudy, quote, and to think I moan about people putting their black bins out a day too early, open bracket. Oh, it looks like a sad face. Those poor people who live in that house and close. Warren says, oh boy, there we go. This is just awful. I'm fortunate enough never to have experienced this anywhere I've lived. Benjamin says, are the council... It's council contractors that are doing this, by the way. That's the rub. Are the council or the contractors really that hard up for cash? They can't afford a skip. If I was one of those residents, I'd gather it up and dump it outside council offices. People should stand up to fly tippers. You never see anyone do it. Listen. I've occasionally put the odd thing in someone's skip. There's a skip parked a few streets away from me, and I've got some stuff that needs dumping. I've put a few things in there, okay? And that's one of the joys of hiring a skip, waking up in the morning and looking out and seeing what other people have put in there. That's one of the things. But to just dump it on a bit of green land? No. David in Marsh Farmers texted, fly tipping Denham Close. There is a chap who cuts his hedge every year and dumps it by the flats opposite. He should be prosecuted. He's done it again the last week. Oh dear. 08459 455 555. We have a soft spot for Glenn Campbell on this show. This is from his last album, Ghosts on the Canvas. Should have been a stinker. It wasn't. It was wonderful and moving and perfect. Should have been a stinker, that album. When was it? 2 years ago, maybe? Wasn't. It was brilliant. Listen to him. Do you know what? I've got the boys today. My wife's at work. I think I'm going to educate them in the ways of Glenn Campbell. It's Glenn Campbell Day for my children. It's a definitive moment in our relationship, because if they don't dig it, they're out. Thank you, Glenn. Now, this cheque in the Milton Keynes Gallery, was it a hoax? Well, artist Thomas Georgeson claimed he'd hidden a cheque for £8,000 in the MK Gallery and said if anyone found it, they could keep it. They write their name in, they get £8,000. He said it was to attract people to the gallery and get more people interested in art. Well, the deadline for finding the cheque was Friday at 2 p.m. It made national news, international news. Thomas said he would make a statement at the gallery on Friday, but did he? Well, our reporter Tony Fisher spoke to people just before the deadline.
Have you heard about this artist who's hidden the cheque for £8,000?
Yes, I have. And I've heard about it today from my son. So he came and collected me from Asprey Guys, and here I am to look for it. And I've just found out that it's not where the art is, because nobody wants that destroyed or touched. It's in the public spaces. And we've only got 10 minutes.
I know. What are you going to do?
Oh, rush and find it.
He did say, the artist, apparently, to take care. So it's obviously in a slightly precarious position.
Oh, right. So we need to climb. We should have bought a ladder.
Have you heard about the artist who's hidden a cheque for £8,000 in the gallery?
We saw it in the paper last night, didn't we? We just came to see where it is.
Yeah. Are you here to try and find it, or just here to look at the art?
Definitely. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. I reckon it could be in the artwork somewhere. It could either be there. But my main guess is it's going to be by the reception, or it's in a dark room. But
have you been here a few times trying to look for it?
No, it's the first day today, actually. But it's because it's the last day. I've been rushing around everywhere, and I've been looking for the last half hour.
Well, our free cash giveaway correspondent, Justin Dealey. You've been following this story intently, haven't you, Justin?
Oh, I have, Ian. I have indeed.
You've got a slightly suspicious tone in your voice. But what happened? Friday, 2 o'clock, the artist Thomas Georgeson was going to make a statement. What did he say? Where was the cheque?
Well, Thomas Georgeson, the man, of course, with the very arty beard. Our listeners may remember that we tracked him down to his home last week, but he refused to give us an interview.
Yes.
He wouldn't speak to us or anybody else from the media before this statement at 2 p.m.
He was saving it for the statement at 2 p.m. on Friday, Justin.
Yes.
We're all eager to know, what did he say at 2 p.m? Where had he hidden the cheque?
He would not be dictated to by the media. That famous quote, of course, well. At 2 p.m. on Friday, he said to us, I may not turn up. As it turns out, Ian, he didn't turn up at the gallery. Yes, he didn't do it. But the cheque was recovered. Instead of speaking to us, again, he sent us a statement, and this is what it says.
This afternoon, my cheque for £8,000 was recovered by one of 4 young graduate artists who have been helping me with this intervention at the Milton Keynes Gallery. The cheque is now void, and the project is concluded. These artists each hold different details about where and how the cheque was hidden, which will provide proof for those who need it should they choose to step into the spotlight. One way or another, as soon as the public here feel a sense of pride in artists who take big risks and achieve success on a national or even international level, any disconnect between the gallery and the public at large will disappear. I do not intend to make any further statement about this project, other than to acknowledge my accomplices, should they ever wish to come forward. I will not be contactable and am now on holiday. God knows I need the rest.
Sorry?
I must urge the press not to make any efforts to contact my family. They do not know the answers to your questions. Thank you sincerely.
I've got a question. Is he a plum? Well, hang on a minute. So apparently there were 4 mysterious lads that we don't know about.
Nope, that's right.
Who went and collected the cheque.
One out of the 4 did.
Without telling anybody. Justin, can I put forward a hypothesis to you? Those 4 lads don't exist and that cheque was never there and he's winding us all up.
Hey, listen, those 4 people do exist, according to him, and if they wish to come forward and come into the spotlight, whether that be national or international media, they can do at some point. So the cheque was recovered. It was apparently in the gallery all along, but nobody sadly found it, and nobody could get that £8,000.
So he claims the cheque was recovered. Of course, we have no evidence the cheque was recovered. We have never seen this cheque. We do not know where this cheque was apparently hidden. Justin, there is a slightly suspicious tone in your voice. What do you... Listen, I know the BBC, impartial, all of that. Forget that for a second. Imagine it's me and you in the Greasy Spoon having a chat.
Yep.
What do you think?
I think it's a fantastic publicity stunt. That's what I think it is. And if it was genuine, and of course, who am I to say it's not, but if it was genuine, Thomas, why didn't you talk to us, and why are you still not talking to us? Apparently, God knows, your words, not mine, God knows I need a holiday. Well, for the last 4 weeks, what have you been doing? You've been sitting at home refusing to talk to the media. Come on.
Justin, going off, and you've done brilliant in this story, but just going off on a slight tangent, there is a rumour going around the office that you sometimes use the fake tan. Is this correct?
Absolutely, yes. Now, I remember, I'm sure you remember this as well. A few weeks ago, I came back off my holiday, and you said to me, and I've got a quote here, I wrote this down somewhere. Here it is. Wow, you look amazing. That tan looks wonderful. Come here, I love you. That's what you said to me.
Did I say those exact words?
Exact words.
Wow.
I actually wrote them down. There you go. That was at 7:21 in the morning during our live outside broadcast. So, yes, having a tan does make me feel better. I know you're talking about this morning. I've got reaction already. I've got 30 seconds here from Karen. Karen doesn't use fake tan, but she has got an opinion. Take a quick listen to this. Now, Karen, you don't wear fake tan, but your daughter does. Does she look orange?
No, she doesn't look orange. She looks very pleasant and, how can I say, healthy.
Yeah.
She has a healthy glow with it.
So when she has the fake tan on, it makes her feel a lot better. Is that the gist of this?
That is the gist of it, and it's a lot less dangerous than sitting in the sun. Yeah, I agree with fake tan. Quite a good idea. Yeah, no problem.
She agrees with it, Ian. I know you're talking about it this morning. In terms of myself, I prefer a bit of a glow to the orange compared to the pale. But a lot of people do use it. And I think secretly you use it as well. I think you're being a bit of a monkey this morning live on air, you are, Ian.
Look how pale I am. I've got bags under my eyes. I don't use fake tan.
But I've seen these photographs of you at the weekend. I think when you get home on a Friday after the show, it's been a long week, you slap it on, you go out at the weekend, and you look slightly orange, but that's your secret.
Those photos, Justin, are private, so we're going to end that conversation there. On the subject of fake tans, Tina Edwards has tweeted me, I fainted whilst getting a spray tan. I've never fainted in my life, so my first time whilst naked in front of a stranger equals cringe. You never want to faint naked in front of a stranger. That really is. I've only ever fainted once. It was very weird. If I'm honest, it was quite enjoyable. It was quite nice. Yeah, it was quite enjoyable. Do you remember there was a thing at school? This is, the 70s and the 80s, kids. This is what you could get away with then. You couldn't do it now. And don't do it now. But there was, in the 70s and 80s, and it never worked for me, there was a thing for making yourself faint. And I won't go into the details, but it involved your mate sitting on your chest, basically. And it was like a big thing in the early 80s. Oh, do you fancy fainting? Yeah, go on then. Right, so go on. And they would do that. That's not how I fainted, by the way. I fainted after a particularly heavy night, shall we say. Yes. And I stood up to close the curtains, and the next thing I was lying on the floor. I thought, ooh, this is unusual. Never happened since. But fainting while getting a spray tan, no. That's not the way to do it at all. Now, a Buckinghamshire man is annoyed that he can't get his songs into the Eurovision Song Contest because of the BBC's selection policy. Raymond Marks has written potential songs for 3 years, but because the BBC hasn't performed a national selection for the last 10 years, he doesn't get the opportunity to have his song chosen. Well, Raymond joins me now. Good morning, Raymond.
Morning, Ian.
Raymond, why do you want to write songs for Eurovision so much?
Well, I think it's a very important contest, and, I've sort of old enough to sort of go back to sort of the early days of it. And I think one of the things that's happened is, I don't know if you watched it last year, but Graham Norton's been like a breath of fresh air. He's lifted the whole thing. He's interested, makes it interesting, and it's viewed by an estimated 125 million people. And I think with the UK talent we've got, we're silly to not be in it to win it.
So what's wrong with the BBC selection policy? Why has that got you so angry?
Well, I wouldn't say angry is quite the word. What I would say is, if I ask people,
furious,
how many times in the last 55 years we've competed, would you say we've come in the top 5? What would you say?
Last 55 years in the top 5, I would say 30.
Well, that's bang on. In fact, most people say about 10%. It's 52%.
Right.
But over the last 10 years, we've only come in the top 5 once.
Ah.
Now, the big thing is, in the times when we had a national selection, we did much better. In fact, we came second 15 times, would you believe?
But was that because of the selection process, or because Eurovision was slightly different, more naive back then? Now it's huger, there are more people involved, there's more politics involved.
Well, that's a good point. What I would say is, how can I describe it? Last year was a disaster, despite having a great star, Engelbert Humperdinck. He had a decent song. Someone said because he came first, that was a problem. But, he came 25th, one up from the bottom. I think we've got to be in it to win it, and the BBC choosing the song hasn't been a great success. Andrew Lloyd Webber came 5th when he did his song, and I remember at the time he had one song and 4 or 5 people performed it in front of him. I think he missed the opportunity of taking the twins through to Eurovision. I think then he would have won. He had a pair of blonde twins singing the song, but he took a man through.
Ah, you've lost me slightly on the specifics here, Raymond. Listen, we're going to play a little bit of your song in a second. I've genuinely not heard this song. It's the first time I've heard it. You think this song is good enough to go to Eurovision, do you?
Yes, well, what I would say is that I think it's good enough to go into the selection process.
Right.
And then once you go through a selection process, at least the nation's behind the song that you're putting forward. The BBC just choosing a song themselves hasn't been a great success. Like Blue, with I Can, their manager said if they don't win, it's career suicide. I think they came 11th. So I think our song In the Light is the one that could have won the Eurovision Song Contest given the chance.
Well, In the Light is the song we're about to play. You think it could be a winner. Raymond, would you like to introduce your song?
Yes. Now, the singer is Sarah Lilly. I think she's on the cusp of being a great star. And I suspect that's part of the trick, because the big stars, Beatles, Rolling Stones, even Adele, have never seemed to have been in the Eurovision Song Contest. So you've got someone who's a great singer, on the cusp of being a great star. It's called In the Light. It was written by myself and Nana Elliott, who's actually from Georgia, East European Georgia, and a local rock celebrity, Les Payne, did the actual production.
Well, that's In the Light, and that's by our guest, Raymond Marks. Raymond, you think that could have been a Eurovision winner, or could potentially be a Eurovision winner, do you?
Yes, it was written to be a Eurovision submission. I tell you, what's interesting is, I don't just write it in thin air. And, when you do creative work, you always crave people's feedback.
Yes.
And I've had, lots of good feedback.
Really?
One character rang me up and said, I think it would have won in 1963. Well, I was very flattered about that, because then we would have beaten France. But I think this is the European style that would win us.
Raymond, we're running out of time. Would you like our listeners to give you feedback on this morning?
Yes, please.
OK, Raymond Marks, thank you. Well, there you go, dear listener. That's In the Light by Raymond Marks. What do you think? Is it a Eurovision winner?
Let's share the joy.
08459 455 555. There's a strong chance Raymond probably wouldn't want to hear my feedback, but he wants to hear yours. 08459 455 555. Is this a Eurovision winner?
Sophie Tyler, BBC, Three Counties Radio.
Sophie, did you manage to catch that Eurovision song?
I caught the end of it.
What did you think? Potential winner?
Absolutely.
Oh, Sophie Tyler. More coming up after the news and sport with Catherine Boyle.
BBC Three Counties Radio. First for news.
Kath, I don't know if you were listening, perhaps you're a little bit busy, but before the news we played a song called In the Light by Raymond Marks.
Oh, right, yeah.
Raymond is, he's not very happy with the BBC selection process for Eurovision songs. He says it's because of the BBC that his song, In the Light, could never be considered as a Eurovision song. Well, what did you think of the song?
I thought it was an interesting take on a song.
She's very naughty, that Catherine Boyle. Very naughty. If you heard the song, maybe we'll play a little bit a bit later on. I think we'll do that, because if you heard the song, keen to get your thoughts. It does seem it's a closed shop, doesn't it, the Eurovision Song Contest? And should it be open to people like Raymond? We'll discuss that a bit more. Other things coming up between now and 8 o'clock. People should not be attracted to the UK just by the benefits available. That's according to William Hague. Well, the government is looking at changing the rules. I'll be speaking to Don Flynn, director and founder of the Migrant Rights Network, to see what he thinks. How bad is fly tipping where you live? It happened so much outside a Luton couple's home that the council put up a sign warning people not to do it. Then their own contractors went and dumped rubbish. Go and look at the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR for a picture. And fake tan. Fake tan is worth £100 million a year in this country. I don't get it. Girls, gentlemen, you look embrace the paste. There's no need to go orange. Love to get your fake tan and your sunbed stories. We'll see if we can tease Justin Dealey's sunbed story out of him. I don't know if it's particularly family-friendly, though. There are two stories. One of them we can get away with, the other one I'm not so sure about. I think you can guess what happens. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can text 81333. Start your text 3CR. Put your name on it, please. Or, and the best way to get in touch is to give me a phone call, 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Changes to the rules governing access to benefits, healthcare and housing for British citizens are being considered by the government. They want to make it more difficult for new arrivals in the UK to access these forms of welfare. Councils will be urged to use new powers to give priority to those on housing waiting lists with local connections. Don Flynn is the director and founder of the Migrant Rights Network and joins me now. Morning, Don.
Good morning.
Don, what do you make of these proposed changes?
Well, I think the first question to ask is are they needed? Is there really any evidence that there is a substantial pull factor from the welfare benefit system in the UK? And one of the advantages that we've got at the moment is that we've got 10 years of the experience of migration from Eastern Europe. And, there's been a lot of research, a lot of surveys, a lot of studies. And it's simply very, very difficult to find that there is evidence that people actually do come here primarily for the benefit system.
Doing a show like this, Don, where people phone me up and tell me their stories, I do hear a lot of people not being able to get council housing because of what they claim to be migrants coming over here, people not being able to get jobs because migrants are coming and doing it. Do you not hear those stories?
Yes, I hear them, and then we go off and look for evidence of it. I mean, as I say, there's huge amounts of research on it. As far as the housing issue was concerned, I mean, that was looked into by a couple of years ago with a big study when these claims were being made. And it was found that migrants were something in the region of a fifth as likely to be able to access council housing, and even then only after they'd been resident in the country for 10 years or so, as other people. So people talk about this, and there's obviously a lot of agitation, and in a time of growing hardship, you can see why people are concerned. The point is we have to look at the facts, and when we look at the facts and we look at the evidence, it's simply not there that migrants are coming to take these benefits. They're coming for work, but even as far as work is concerned, there's very much a segmented labour market where the jobs that migrants seem to be going to are ones that natives do not seem to be that interested in.
But there are cases of migrants who do get housing and do get benefits. Should we be allowing that?
Well, I mean, what are these cases? The cases in which they get benefits, and they is after they've been in the country for a long period of time, and effectively we have to think of them as being effectively British citizens. If we're going to have a benefit system, if we're going to have a welfare system, then it has to be a fair one. We cannot have a benefits and welfare system which allows some people to get its benefits and it unjustly withholds it from other people, particularly when these people are taxpayers. When somebody has been in the country, they're working, they're paying their taxes, then what moral justification have we got for withholding benefits which their taxes are paying for from them?
Don, this would also affect healthcare, wouldn't it? Should we be stopping... It's only going to be the essential emergency procedures, I think, that are going to be covered for migrants. Is that appropriate to stop other healthcare or to make it more difficult?
Well, I mean, again, I think you have to say, is there a pressing need for this? Is there evidence that people are migrating in order to abuse the healthcare system? And once again, that doesn't seem to be the case. There have been surveys of what is actually going on in health authorities up and down the country, and what you invariably find is not so much that migrants are clogging up the system. I mean, the more typical problem is that they're not using the system properly. Rather than registering with GPs when they do find themselves ill or injured, they're going to accident and emergency departments, which the authorities would rather they did not. And if you look at what is constantly being discussed is how do we encourage migrants to engage with the health services in a proper way? How, within a matter of weeks of them arriving in the country, how do we get them along to their GP surgery in order to register with the local GPs?
But can you understand how some people could possibly feel frustrated that some people come over here and they haven't been paying much in terms of national insurance, if anything, and tax, and yet they seem to be reaping the benefits that the people who have been here their whole lifetimes get?
Well, I mean, as I say, I understand a lot of things that are going on at the moment. We are living through quite frightening period of time, and there are massive cuts taking place. There's privatisation, there's all sorts of things that people don't understand taking place, and they do appear to be looking for somebody to blame for it. That's what I think this is all about. Looking in quite a lot of detail at what was going on in the Eastleigh by-election last week, there was an awful lot of completely unjustified claims that were being made against migrants. It did seem to be the case that a lot of politicians were working the system as much as they possibly could in order to divert blame from themselves onto another group of people. And that's what I really do think is happening. This is a game of blame the migrants. They're an easier group of people to lay the blame on than the people who really are responsible.
Don, I appreciate your time. Thank you, Don Flynn, Director and Founder of the Migrant Rights Network. Interesting what he had to say. What do you think? 08459 455 555.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Earlier on, we spoke to Raymond Marks. He's a local songwriter, and he is upset with the way the BBC chooses their entries for Eurovision. He thinks it's unfair, and it would stop songs like his, In the Light, being chosen. Well, we played the song about 15 minutes ago. What do you think? Is this good enough? Raymond thinks this could be a Eurovision winner. Ophelia in Luton, what do you think?
I'm not sure about that, Iain.
Yes?
It doesn't sound, it sounds a bit like 30 years ago, like what Dana would have sang and won, but not with the present day, because the kind of people that are voting and the kind of songs that are coming in, that's not going to hit the mark.
You don't think... Hang on. In the light. You don't think that's quite catchy? It's only the second time I've heard it, and I can sing along to the tune. What? Here we go. Ooh, What's wrong? It's catchy, isn't it? So in the light. It's quite catchy, Ophelia. You don't think that could be a potential winner? You okay? You're right. What happened? Ophelia, is it? Are you crying? Has it moved you?
No.
No. Oh.
You were singing.
No. Sorry?
Oh my gosh, you were singing it. I'm sorry.
I was singing it because that's...
No, Ian, I'm sorry. Sing it a little bit more, but it's not a Eurovision level song. Look at what's been winning and the kind of people that are voting.
Yeah.
It's a nice song. Yeah, but no, it's not going to win. It's not going to actually get one vote. No disrespect intended. Serious, look at who's voting. It's all them young people. I don't even really... I watch Eurovision to see what the latest outrage they're going to be wearing or the latest outrage they're going to be singing. I don't even watch all of it. It's not my kind of thing.
We've got a couple of comments, and I do think this is, Raymond has. I've written songs, and exposing your soul in a song is a brave thing to do, and good luck to him. But Reboot Bridges has posted on Facebook. If that song was the UK entry, we stand less of a chance than our normal major fail. It was awful.
Exactly.
Peter Warby says Next Door's Cat has got more chance. What's that? Ophelia, are you crying? Has it touched you? No.
It's funny. I'm sorry.
Ophelia, I'll ask you the question. What songs have you ever written?
No,
Oh, exactly. Unbelievable. Dancing in the light. It's quite catchy. It's growing on me. It really is the kind of thing that does annoy me, because I'm a grumpy old man, and I embrace that. But there is a Luton couple that have been so fed up with rubbish being dumped outside their property over the years. The council, very generously, put up a no-fly tipping sign. Then the other week, council contractors ignored that and dumped a load of flies. No, hang on a second. Dumped a load of rubbish. Well, lots of you have been looking at the Facebook page and leaving your comments. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. There is a picture there. Javain says, even when you report fly tippers, they don't do very much unless you've got indisputable evidence, such as a photo or a film. So that's what these residents need to set up floodlights and a camera. Well, yeah, a camera can't be beyond the power of the council to install, can it? Chris says, fly tippers dump rubbish anywhere. It can be a street, a country road or private land. It's hard to prove who dumped the rubbish, as it could be residents, contractors or bone-idle people. People are quick to complain to the council that they should do something, but with no proof, how can they? And even with the proof, will the costs pay off after chasing the tippers? Councils are strapped to this. Chris, you can't be saying that they should not complain to the council. Of course they should. Colin says a friend was driving in beds when she saw fly tipping in progress. She called the police, who asked her if she was willing to testify against the tippers. She said, if you come now, you'll catch them and not need me as a witness. The police said they did not have anyone available to attend and again pressed her to be a witness. She refused on the grounds that she felt she would be targeted for retribution. Well, this is happening outside Jerry and Mandy Galvin's house in Denham Close, and we can speak to Mandy Galvin now. Morning, Mandy.
Morning.
So what's been this has happened several times. What's been left by the side of your house?
Well, the latest incident, we've got contractors in the area putting in new kitchens for the council. And we got home Tuesday evening and they'd dumped all the old kitchens that they'd ripped out of the premises next to our house. And ironically, it does say we've got a sign on there saying no fly tipping.
Well, to be honest, Mandy, it makes a cracking picture because you have got that wonderful sign quite high up, and then below it, a load of old junk. What did you think when you came home on Tuesday and saw all of this?
We couldn't believe it, really. I mean, we did get onto the council straight away. I mean, it was quite late in the evening, but we even phoned the sort of emergency number because we have had rubbish dumped outside before. And on one occasion it did get set fire to, which is obviously really dangerous. So my husband, they said they'd come out and move it, and they didn't. So my husband had to move it all away from our premises on his own. So
Who set fire to it? Do you know?
I think it was children in the past. It happened sort of like the early hours of the morning.
Well, they shouldn't be out at the early hours of the morning, let alone setting fire to rubbish. So what kinds of things? So this time it was kitchens and things. What kinds of things have been dumped there in the past, Mandy?
On one occasion we did actually have a gas canister, which was obviously quite dangerous.
Oh, right, yeah, that's nice.
General rubbish that they're too lazy to sort of take up to the rubbish tip, really.
How far away is the rubbish tip from you?
Probably about a 10-15 minute drive.
Wow.
And, you know, the council do come and pick it up free of charge if you leave it out on the bin day and sort of arrange it with them. So I can't understand why people are so lazy to do it, really.
Now, the no fly tipping sign that's up there, and again, people can look at this on the Facebook page and see this picture, that was put there because of your complaints, wasn't it?
It was, because of this fire incident. Obviously, we got in touch with the council. The fire brigade actually had to come, and so the council actually put that notice there on our behalf. And then it's ironic that it's their contractors who are now sort of, you know, leaving all the mess there.
Now, the stuff has been cleared away, hasn't it?
It has, but it took until Friday evening, and we reported it on the Tuesday.
Oh, you don't want that.
And I do only think it's because yourselves got involved. I mean, we phoned, we actually emailed an official complaint, sent in the photo, and nothing seemed to be done until I know you got in touch with them on our behalf midday Friday.
Yeah, well...
That's they sort of straight out within about 10 minutes.
Mandy, that's what we like to do. That's what we. That's one of the many reasons that we're here. Have the council said anything to you?
No, they haven't. There was a note through our door to just say, apologies, the rubbish will be moved within 10 minutes, and this was about 12:10 on Friday, but they haven't really been in touch with us since. Actually, I think they did come and see my husband.
Right.
When I was at work.
It's fine them moving it, okay? But if it's their contractors, their people that are dumping it there, then they surely have the powers to... They've sent us a little statement. Luton Borough Council says it can confirm that the offending items originally left by your home have been removed from the area. It apologises to residents unreservedly for this unacceptable situation, and it will ensure a thorough investigation is undertaken. Good enough?
Well, you know, I'd like to sort of see them fined, if anything, because, you know, other people, you can get like an £80 fine for, you hear, you know, cases quite rightly so, if people, you know, throw cigarettes out of their car and things like that, they get fined. So, you know, surely if they're representatives of the council, they should either be fined or even have the contract taken away from them if they can't be responsible enough to move the rubbish after them.
You're right, my friend Dougie got fined £80 for dropping a cigarette butt, which I found amazing.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but this, it looks like they're probably going to get a slapped wrist.
Yes, yeah.
Have you seen the contractors? Are they? Where are they doing this work? In your street?
Yes, opposite our house and premises across our...
Have you gone and had a word with them?
No, because we're at work during the day, really, so we don't really get to sort of see them.
Yeah.
But I know they are going to be doing other kitchens in the area, and that's just my concern. Obviously, I don't think after all this they will, but, you know, if this hadn't have happened and we hadn't have complained, you know, it could have just been happening again, really.
I would be, they would be especially foolish if they were to do it again. But you never know. I would never say... What are you and your husband like, Mandy? Are you either of you quite feisty?
Not really.
No.
I'm certainly not. My husband's probably more out of the two. He's not feisty. He just, you know, he just doesn't like, you know, injustice and things. And obviously, he's quite protective of the family. And he was just worried. I think, you know, that it was quite frightening when that fire got set.
Of course.
It was a few years ago now, but and we try and keep our, you know, we all go to work. We work hard. We try and keep our environment nice.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just an eyesore, really. You know, Marsh Farm has got a bit of a reputation, but there's a lot of decent people living here who want to keep our areas nice.
Mandy, if I were you, if I were you, I would go and have a word with those builders and say, "Oi! Don't you dare do that again." But if that's not in your nature, that's not in your nature. But I would suggest that you keep badgering the council and say, "Look, this is great. This has been cleared up. Can we get an apology, please, and an assurance that none of your contractors will be doing this again?"
Yes.
I think that's definitely worth pursuing. And now they know that BBC Three Counties are involved, then that might give you a little bit more weight.
Definitely. I shall certainly do that. I shall write to them today.
Do send them a letter. Mandy, listen, thank you very much. It kind of sounds like a trivial thing. Go and look at the picture. It's not. Facebook.com/BBC 3CR. And if this stuff's been set alight in the past, and a gas canister has been left behind, I would be stomping over there, knocking on the door and saying, "Oi! That lot! Move it! You do that again, you wait and see what happens." 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. All over the place this morning. We're talking about fake tans as well. There's a thing in the mail. The fake tanning products. These are just the products, the creams and things. This isn't the sunbays. These are the creams and the sprays. They're worth £100 million a year. in the UK alone. What? Who is buying this stuff? Why are you buying this stuff? Just make do with what you've got. Listen, when in the summertime, when I put my shorts on, it's not a pretty sight. Horrible bandy legs. Don't laugh, producer Laura. Don't laugh. What are you laughing for?
I'm just picturing your legs.
Why is that making you laugh?
Well, you've got a bit of chest on show today.
Yeah, a little bit
you?
of chest, yes.
And I'm kind of seeing a bit of hair.
Yeah.
And so when you said that, I kind of started thinking about your legs.
Yes.
And I'm thinking kind of you're tall and you're slender, and I'm kind of thinking thin legs.
But where is the
hairy? I'm not sure I want to see them. I don't want to see them.
What's wrong with those bad boys? Well, that's not very pleasant. What a rude noise. How rude. That's my producer. I work with her every day. I say work with her. We sit next to each other. I don't know if it's... Thank you, Laura. But I don't get my legs out very often. They are a little bit bandy. And they're hairy. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to wax them, for goodness sakes. I'm not Darius. Darius, is he still popular with the kids these days? I don't know. But they come. What I'm saying is, I'm not going to put a bit of fake tan on so that when I go on the beach or walk through the town in my shorts, so people think, oh, he's got brown legs. Why would anyone use fake tan? There's no need for it. Ben and Bucks has emailed. Women who use fake tan, in my opinion, are trying too hard to look like celebrities. It's not a nice look. Be proud of the skin colour or tone you have, as women who look natural, e.g. pale, are far sexier. I agree! That kind of China doll thing, the porcelain, the milky look. I don't know if girls like being described as looking milky. I don't know if that's a particularly affectionate or sexy term. But men prefer that. Women, listen, men prefer the natural looks. We all, the fake boobs and all of that. There's a thing for fake bum implants as well these days. What's going on? 08459 455 555. I want to speak to you if you use the fake tan. We'll be speaking to Justin Dealey a bit later on. I'm trying to work out if I can get him to tell both of his sunbed stories. He can definitely tell one. The other one, I think it's a little bit too rude. To tell. You're still getting your comments on Raymond's Eurovision song. We'll play a little bit more of it a bit later in the show. But Paul says, I think Raymond's Euro song was great, and he deserves to get his GCSE for that coursework. Paul says his song should be fly-tipped. No, come on now. Fifi's got a good suggestion. Maybe Raymond should make the song available for download and see who buys it. That's not a bad idea. This will give him an indication about the winnability of the song. Yeah.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, the Queen has spent the night in hospital in London suffering from gastroenteritis. I'll have the latest on how she is next. And the Chief Constable of Bedfordshire Police has been in the news this weekend. Why? Well, because of the way he boosts staff morale. It's a handy little tip. I think we could all learn from it. I'll reveal all in the next 20 minutes. 08459 455 555. Now, the Queen has spent the night at the King Edward VII Hospital in London, where she's being treated for the symptoms of gastroenteritis. She was taken by car from Windsor Castle to the hospital yesterday, 2 days after first becoming ill. Our reporter, Simon Thompson, joins us now. Morning, Simon. What's the latest on the Queen's condition?
Well, we're told that she spent the night in hospital in a comfortable position. She's not bedridden, we believe, although there'll be no further updates from either the hospital or Buckingham Palace because the Queen doesn't want health bulletins issued about her condition. Now, she is, of course, 86, and so doctors were concerned about her symptoms of gastroenteritis. That's why they wanted her to go to hospital. She was driven there in a private car yesterday, didn't want to go in ambulance, didn't want fuss being made, we're told, and although her own details of her illness first emerged on Friday night, and she was forced to cancel a trip to Swansea on Saturday to mark St David's Day. She did carry out a medal presentation at Windsor Castle yesterday, where she'd been resting over the weekend, to a member of her staff, and she's said to be in good spirits, despite the fact she's in hospital rather reluctantly.
How long is she expected to be in hospital for?
Well, there's no guarantee of how long that will be, but and as I say, certainly there'll be no health bulletin updates from either the hospital or Buckingham Palace. But we believe that in her condition, it's likely that doctors will want to be observing her for about 48 hours or so and make sure that she gets plenty of liquids. Dehydration, really the biggest concern amongst those in their latter years, and indeed who may be having other potential underlying health problems. Not that the Queen, of course, necessarily does, but certainly they want to be monitoring her to check whether there is anything else to watch out for. But certainly all official engagements for this week, including her planned trip to Rome to meet the Prime Minister there, have been either cancelled or postponed. A reception at Buckingham Palace tomorrow for MPs and members of the European Parliament, we're told, will go ahead, but with other members of the royal family present. And a palace spokesman has just said through Buckingham Palace that she was admitted to hospital simply to enable doctors to better assess her. There is no cause for alarm.
She's not been in hospital for a while, has she?
She hasn't. In fact, it's 10 years ago since her last admission to hospital. That was for a couple of minor knee operations. She's rarely in hospital, in fact. She's 86 years old, so she's getting on in terms of years, but so very active and has given no sign that she wants to cut down her engagement at all throughout the year. And, of course, it's her husband who's been in hospital more recently, the Duke of Edinburgh. He was admitted to the same hospital, King Edward VII Hospital, in central London last year as a result of the Diamond Jubilee celebrations, and he was standing out, of course, in that pageant on the river in cold winds and, of course, the rain, and had a bladder infection as a result. But it's also the same hospital that the Duchess of Cambridge was admitted to in December last year with severe morning sickness in the early stages of her pregnancy.
And there is something unusual about the people guarding her.
Yes, this is the sort of story where absolutely nothing happens for photographers and their lenses and journalists. They're looking for anything they can talk about that's different from standing in the same street outside the same entrance with no updates of any sort. So they found it, because yesterday they discovered that PC Anthony Wallin is 7 foot 2 inches, was standing alongside PC Tony Thitch, who is actually 5 foot 6 inches. They are, in fact, the tallest and shortest serving Metropolitan Police officers, we believe. And someone had great fun on the rotors over the weekend, putting them together. They're known as Big Tone and Little Tone. It's not the first time they've served together, but obviously made a great sight for camera lenses outside the entrance to the hospital. PC Wallin, the taller of the two, we understand, has a custom-made uniform and wears size 17 shoes, minus size 9. He gets 500 requests for photographs each day, he says. It's like being famous, but without the cash.
Wow, thank you very much for that, Simon. Suddenly this story's got a bit more interesting. By the way, Australia, leave her alone, all right? Leave her alone. Don't go doing none of that nonsense with our Queen. Well, how serious is gastroenteritis? Dr. Peter McIntyre is a gastroenterologist from the QE2 hospital. Morning, Doctor.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. But better than the Queen. What exactly is gastroenteritis, and how serious is it?
Okay, well, itis means inflammation. Enteritis is inflammation of the intestines. Gastritis is inflammation of the stomach. So gastroenteritis we tend to use when people have a combination of diarrhea from the intestinal inflammation and vomiting or nausea from the gastric inflammation.
The Queen is nearly 87. I would imagine that possibly makes it a bit more serious, does it?
Only in that older people tend not to tolerate acute illnesses quite as well. The difficulty with gastroenteritis is that when any of us have got diarrhea, the important thing is to replace that lost fluid. And if you are nauseated, you've lost your appetite, and you're vomiting, then doing that becomes more difficult.
And how long does it take to recover normally?
It's usually a short-lived illness, 2, 3, 4 days, depending on the bug that's causing it. It can be either a viral or bacterial bug. So people have 2 or 3, 4 days when they're unwell, then about the same period of time afterwards as they fully recover and go back to normal.
So we shouldn't be too worried about this. The odds are that Her Majesty's going to be okay.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent stuff, Dr. Peter McIntyre. Thank you very much.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Should have a quick look at the front pages. The Independent. Iraq, 10 years on from the war. It's a failed state run by gangs that are more important than law. A series of landmark reports by Patrick Cockburn. And twinned with Belarus, Tories betray Britain's human rights reputation. Government attacks on human rights legislation were condemned last night as an unhinged betrayal of British values destined to destroy the country's reputation on the world stage. What? As the Home Secretary and Justice Secretary separately threatened to draw back from the European Court of Human Rights, the party was accused of being in disarray and caving into the right after its humiliating defeat in the Eastleigh by-election. The Guardian. There's Cardinal Keith O'Brien, who says he fell below the standards of the Catholic Church, effectively admitting he breached celibacy rules. I was confused by this picture because he looks like Morrissey. No disrespect. I was looking at Morrissey in another newspaper, and I thought, oh, Morrissey's on the front page. It's not. It's Cardinal Keith O'Brien. He admits to sexual misconduct. Cardinal Keith O'Brien, who was forced to resign by the Pope last week, has made a dramatic admission he was guilty of sexual misconduct throughout his career. Kidnap victim, this is still on The Guardian, government must say sorry. And here's something which requires further investigation. US doctors make history by curing child born with HIV. Doctors in the US have made medical history by effectively curing a child born with HIV, the first time such a case has been documented. Let's have a look at the Daily Telegraph. There's the Queen. Queen in good spirits, says the Palace. Wake up and cut taxes, top Tories tell the Chancellor. Pressure on Osborne from all sides, kickstart economy by helping firms and consumers. Proof that... This is the front page of the Telegraph, right? Proof that the mating instinct conquers all. It is a phenomenon many will have experienced after a few drinks. Known as beer goggles, it can transform the most ordinary face into something far more attractive. Now an expert claims to have a scientific explanation. Oh, for goodness sakes. Go and cure cancer. Go and find out why that girl hasn't got AIDS anymore. The reason some people appear to lower their standards temporarily while under the influence is not because their perception of others has changed. It's just that they still have the urge to mate while other functions, including self-control, are impaired. According to a new book. There's a whole book on this! Dr. Amanda Ellison, senior lecturer in the Department of Psychology at Durham University, claims that the brain is designed so that the urge to mate is preserved above all else. Well, it is. You get a bit boozed up, you feel a bit fruity, there's no one good-looking in the pub, so you'll do. Yeah, you'll do. The Times. Oh, there's a picture of the tall man and the short man. That's weird because the tall... Well, it's not that weird, is it? But the tall man has got, like, the face of a boy, but the body of two men. It's very strange. These are the two gentlemen guarding the Queen, who's in hospital with a stomach bug. Cabinet in revolt over extra £10 billion budget cuts. Big spending ministers vow to defend their turf. David Cameron faced a deepening cabinet revolt on spending last night after both Vince Cable and Philip Hammond joined the battle against further cuts to departmental budgets. This is after the military said, hey, steady on, Cameron. No more cuts, or we're sending the boys and the girls round. SFO rocked by corruption and cronyism claims. The Serious Fraud Office was nearly torn apart by allegations of cronyism, misuse of public funds and possible corruption against some of its top bosses. Excuse me. A frog in my throat. I do apologise. I'm hoping that's getting you onto work a little bit better. The Daily Mail. Queen rushed to hospital with suspected vomiting bug, but she refuses ambulance, works up to the last minute and tells worried aides, don't make a fuss. The Daily Express also has that story. Stomach bug puts Queen in hospital for the first time in 10 years. And you hope and fight against diabetes. A simple once-a-day jab which could revolutionise the lives of millions with diabetes is now available on the NHS. The groundbreaking drug, a longer-lasting type of insulin, costs just £2.20 a day. In order to keep their diabetes under control, many patients have to inject themselves with insulin several times a day. But now you can do it once a day. Wow. The Sun. Her Majesty the Queasy. Stomach illness floors her for work. Really? I mean, that's the best they can do, is it? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. We've been talking about this fly tipping. This great picture. It's an incredible picture. Facebook.com/BBC3CR of a family's home that's been regular a place for fly tippers to hang out. Well, they're not hanging out there, but they're tipping their flies. John says, I love walking in the countryside, but it does make my blood boil while I come across dumped fridges, three-piece suites, asbestos sheeting. The list is endless. I witnessed fly tipping a couple of years ago, reporting the incident to the council, supplying all details of the vehicle registration and a description of the driver. They didn't want to know. Their reply was, unless he commits this crime again and someone reports him, they're not interested. 08459 455 555. Oh, this is exciting. Nick Coffer, he's got Charlie Lansborough on. I know! Now, some of you are going, who? I'll say the name again. Charlie Lansborough. Again, some of you going, he's a country and western legend. Charlie Lansborough's a hero. He's on the Nick Coffer show today from 12. Wowzers. Well, listen, I'm tuning in. I'm sticking around the building until then to make sure I get reception. Nick Coffer, from midday, he's got other stuff. I wouldn't even bother with the other stuff. He's got Charlie Lansborough. It probably sounds like I'm being sarcastic. I'm not. Charlie Lansborough is he's fantastic. I'm going through a huge country thing at the moment, and so thumbs up. Nick Coffer, midday today. Oh, I got a little bit too excited there. I'll try and calm down now. OK, I think this is actually genuinely an exclusive to BBC Three Counties Radio. I've got the latest on the situation with the Queen. This comes in an email from my wife, so I don't know how accurate it is. She says that our eldest son has just told her the Queen is sick in hospital and she caught it from our baby. He said the baby's sick, travelled in a helicopter to the Queen. So we will be... I don't know if that's actually what happened. That's what my eldest son, the 3-year-old, said to my wife. We'll be investigating that and giving you updates throughout the day. Now, I've been asking this morning whether you think it's a bit tacky, a bit naff, a little bit sad to have a fake tan. Well, our Orange correspondent, Justin Dealey, you live in fake tan world, don't you?
I do like the fake tan, yes, because it makes me feel more confident. When you saw me tanned up the other week for real, you thought I looked amazing. You were telling me that you love me, so why not be tanned up?
I'm not sure that's true, but also...
It is true.
The real tan, it does make you feel better because it's all the vitamins and all the chemicals you've got from the sun. Slapping on a bit of brown from a bottle just makes you look like a numpty.
No, it doesn't. It makes you look healthy. Come on, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. You knocking people this morning, going out, buying fake tan, they're doing nothing wrong. It's not illegal. It's making them feel better.
I know it's not illegal, Justin. I'm not saying that. I've not once said they're breaking the law.
It makes them feel good about themselves. And if it makes them feel good about themselves, who are we to argue with that?
People are laughing. You know, most people, when they do it themselves at home, they've got the streaked legs, or they've got one hand is darker than the other hand. It looks awful.
How do you know this?
Who do I know this?
How do you know this? You've been doing it yourself, haven't you?
I've seen...
You've been doing it yourself, I know you.
Have you been speaking to people, Justin?
Yes, I'm in Luton this morning, talking things fake tan, and Ian, it's actually prompted some very angry reaction from one lady in particular. Take a listen to this.
Now, madam, you don't use fake tan, but obviously you see other people who do use it. What's your thoughts when you see somebody who's looking a bit orange?
Not well. Simple, really simple, seriously. I mean, there's no need to go out like that. I mean, there is no need. There's sunbeds. If they want to get a colour, go and use the sunbeds. But some of them people that use the fake tan put too much on. They look a disgrace. They look terrible.
A disgrace?
A disgrace, yeah. They do, for us women, we're women, and I think they look sick. I think they look physically sick.
I mean, have you noticed it getting worse in, say, the last 5 years or so? Is it getting even more extreme these days?
The youngsters is worse than what, if you look at some of the young girls now, it's not often I go out, but when I go out and you look at some of the youngsters and you think, wow, my God, look at the state of them. I was never like that. Maybe I'm old, I don't know.
Now, John, honest answer, please. Do you prefer your women pale or orange?
To be absolutely honest, somewhere in between. You know, you take it to the extreme. Sometimes the orangey thing is a little bit worrying.
Yeah, bit of a turn-off. Now, you've got a major issue with bodybuilders because when they go orange, they really do go orange, don't they?
Well, I just noticed that just lately, these guys have got extreme bodies and they haven't got any fat on, and plus, the colour is just beyond belief. It's
they look ridiculous, then?
Worryingly ridiculous. Where are you aiming for? Where's it going to be in a few years' time? How dark? You know what I mean? How far are you going to take it?
Well, I've eventually found somebody who does wear fake tan. Sophie's with me. Sophie, you're 23. When do you wear fake tan?
Just when I go out at night time, going out in town.
And tell us why you wear it.
Just to make me feel better. I don't like using sunbeds because of the cancer and everything, so I prefer just to use fake tan just when I don't have a natural tan.
Now, do you get it right, though? Do you look tanned up, or do you look a bit orange?
Well, my dad's really strict on fake tan, so he tells me if I look orange or not, and he tells me to go have a wash, so I think I get it right.
But on the whole, it's just a confidence thing for you. When you go out, when you socialise, if you feel more tanned, you feel more confident.
Yeah.
Justin?
Yes?
You made up a word.
What's that, then?
Tanda?
Stand up.
Yeah, you said tanda.
Did I say tanda?
Yeah.
Oh, you can make your own words.
I think you mean more tanned.
If people say that word enough, it can then go into the English dictionary. That's a fact for
Most people agree with me. You look ridiculous.
No. Do you know what? A disgrace, physically sick, and worryingly ridiculous from three people. Some extreme views. And that First Lady, how angry was she?
She was furious. She was furious. Now, listen, we are talking about fake tan. We're also discussing a little bit about the sunbeds. And despite, as that girl said, the cancer and stuff, you have used a sunbed, haven't you?
Yes, I do use them very occasionally. I don't use them all the time, and there is a method to my madness here.
Yeah.
Before I go away on a holiday, what I like to do is prepare my skin. So I have a few sunbeds. This is ridiculous, but no, I do that. And a few years ago, the first time I used them, I just went straight in there. I took everything off.
Yep.
Yeah, quite literally, wallop. Everything was off, and there was a certain part of my body which doesn't normally get the sun or any sun rays at all, and as you can imagine, I got burnt in an area which I didn't really want to get burnt.
Your winky got sunburned, didn't it?
Yes, it wasn't very nice at all. It got very, very hot, put it that way.
And then, I hope you rubbed cream on. And then was there another instance where you left your socks on?
Yes, I left my socks on again. I was in a hurry. Obviously, I was doing work for you. It's 24/7 with you, Ian. It's like, Justin, can you go and do this at 7 o'clock at night? No, you've got to go and do it. So I rushed into the sunbed. I left my pants on this time. I learned from my mistakes in the past. But I also left my socks on as well. So when I went away recently, the only place I did get burnt was on my feet. So yes, I look stupid again.
Justin Daly, thank you very much indeed. Now, how does your boss keep morale up at your place? Alf Hitchcock, the Chief Constable of Bedfordshire Police, has been in the news this weekend because he buys biscuits to keep morale up. More than you get here, let me tell you that. He buys broken biscuits for the Bedfordshire force out of his own pocket so they go a little bit further. Well, Jim Mallon is chairman of the Bedfordshire branch of the Police Federation. Morning, Jim.
Morning, Ian.
Have you had any of Alf's biscuits?
Yes, I have. I'm very pleased to say I have them on a regular basis with Mr. Hitchcock about once a month. In fact, just last Friday he's branched out to getting flapjacks as opposed to biscuits, so it was a nice turn of events.
That is, I'm laughing, but that is a nice thing to do. Who's allowed to put their hand in his tin? Is it just open policy? Anyone can grab a couple of biscuits?
Well, it'd be nice if it was, Ian, but unfortunately it seems to be restricted to the more senior officers. I mean, what would be nice is if Mr. Hitchcock progressed down the stairs to give some of the patrol officers some. I'm sure they'd be delighted to receive a biscuit.
The campaign starts here, Mr. Hitchcock, if you're listening. Get those broken biscuits and flapjacks. Give your flapjacks to the boys and girls serving on the front line, for goodness sakes. But I'm guessing it creates slightly nice feeling that he's doing this out of his own pocket. When you hear about everyone making cutbacks and everyone trying to save a few quid, for someone to, even though they're broken biscuits, to spend a couple of quid of their own money is a nice thing to do, isn't it?
I think it is. I mean, I know it's a very light-hearted story, but it does go towards Mr. Hitchcock's view. He is a generous individual in a lot of ways, and I think this is just a branch of his generosity. But I mean, when I spoke to him last Friday about this, in fact, he did say to me that he hadn't realised there were broken biscuits for quite some time, and he kept on wondering why, when he's presented with a plate of biscuits in meetings, they're always broken because he hadn't read the packaging properly.
He didn't know that he was buying broken biscuits.
No, he didn't. But I guess with the cost and everything else, I think he'll probably maintain it now. It's created quite a bit of mirth and so forth on Twitter with some of my colleagues across the region nationally.
Do you think more chief constables should take a leaf out of Mr. Hitchcock's book?
Yes, I do. I think you should follow suit, Ian, because it's quite a nice thing to do when you show your staff you do care about them. And whilst it's a small gesture, I do think it goes a long way to make people feeling a bit happier about their lots, particularly police officers who have a very difficult job day by day.
Flapjacks now, Jim. Where would you like him to go next? Krispy Kremes, something like that?
Well, I'm more a sort of Jaffa Cake man, but anything with chocolate on it would be nice for me.
Jim, listen, thank you very much. Jim Mallon, chairman of the Bedfordshire branch of the Police Federation. Mr. Hitchcock, if you're listening, two things. Jim wants Jaffa, OK? Jim wants Jaffa. Get him Jaffa. And come on, Mr. Hitchcock, please. Get that tin of biscuits, take it down to the front desk, Not for the punters. They can, fair play. They're probably troublemakers and ne'er-do-wells. Don't give it to them. But for the boys and girls in blue who serve us so proudly, let them have a nibble on your flapjacks. Please. I'm begging you, Mr. Hitchcock, Chief Constable of Bedfordshire Police, let your officers nibble on your flapjacks. 08459 455 555. You heard Justin there talking about tans and things. I do want your stories. We've had surprisingly few people in defence of the fake tan. If anybody can defend it, 08459 455 555. And I don't get that thing of, I get, as Justin was saying there, I get a bit of a tan before I go on holiday. What? Why? That's what the holiday's for. What, you're embarrassed to go and strip off on the beach on that first day? That you're going to look pale by the pool? That worries you? That concerns you? That's what it's... If you're going to go on a sun-worshipping holiday, then go... I very rarely get a tan, because I just go like factor 50 or something, and so I don't really kind of tan, and then there'll be a day when I forget to do it and I'll burn, but that's it. But 08459 455 555. Do you fake tan? Or do you think it looks a bit trashy? It looks cheap. And you see all these tarty girls and these horrible blokes going out on a Friday night with their fake tans, and you think, no, that doesn't work.
BBC Three Counties Radio. First for news.
You passed 31 many, many years ago. Do you reckon you could still, shake it on the gymnastic floor?
I can still do the splits.
Go on then. Oh.
All right, hang on. See?
Fan-bloomin-tastic. Ouch. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Someone go upstairs and help Catherine get back up, please. We need her in 30 minutes' time, and it would be a shame to lose her like that. Lots coming up between now and 9, between now and JVS, including people should not be attracted to the UK just by the benefits available. That's according to William Hague. Well, the government is looking at changing the rules. I'll be speaking to the Chief Executive of Population Matters to see what he thinks. How bad is fly tipping where you live? Well, it happens so much outside a Luton couple's home that the council put up a sign warning people not to do it. Their own council contractors went and dumped the rubbish. Have a look at the picture on facebook.com/BBC3CR. And a Buckinghamshire songwriter thinks the Eurovision Song Contest rules are unfair and should be changed. The way it's set up, it means that his song could never be a Eurovision entry, and he thinks it's winning material. If you haven't heard his song, In the Light, I'll play a bit of it to you in a little bit, and you can give me your verdict. Lots of ways to get in touch. I've given you the Facebook. You can text 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give us a call, 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
All that talk of biscuits in the last hour I really fancy like a hobnob, or you can get those chocolate digestives, can't you? But they've got caramel as well. It's like the best biscuits in one. Although, let's be honest, the greatest biscuit of all time, and it really works with a cup of tea, your custard cream. Some places you can buy giant custard creams now. They're the size of a baby's head. Wonderful stuff. 08459 455 555. Changes to the rules governing access to benefits, healthcare and housing for British citizens are being considered by the government. They want to make it more difficult for new arrivals in the UK to access these forms of welfare. Councils will be urged to use new powers to give priority to those on housing waiting lists with local connections. Well, Simon Ross is the Chief Executive of Population Matters. Morning, Simon.
Good morning.
What do you think of these proposed changes?
I think they make sense. People from Romania and Bulgaria, which have much lower wages and living standards than they do here, could live anywhere they want to in the EU. If it's much easier for them to come here than it is for other countries, then they're going to come here. So we have to, I think, not be out of step with the rest of Europe.
Why is it easier for them to come here?
It's about getting access to benefits in terms of. Do they have to have a contribution? In some countries in Europe, you have to work for a few years before you get benefits, for example, or perhaps you've got some history of living in a place before you're entitled to get social housing. So it's that access to government benefits and subsidies that I think is much easier in the UK than it is in some countries.
What evidence do you have, Simon, that people are coming from abroad to just get benefits and housing and things like that?
I think it's quite hard to measure that.
I tell you why I mention that, because we spoke to the Migrant Rights Network earlier on, and they said that they've done research, and that's not really why most people come over here. They come here to work, and that the claim that migrants come here for the benefits is a myth.
Well, I think they perhaps do come here to work, but clearly not all get work, particularly in the current climate when there's a very high rate of unemployment. So people will end up on benefits willy-nilly. And in the past, they haven't had the right to have benefits from Romania and Bulgaria. Now they will, so that's a change.
Okay, but you have no evidence to back that up?
Not that people come here just for benefits, no.
Oh, okay. What do these changes, do they go far enough for you, Simon?
It's really hard to predict, of course, what people will do in Romania and Bulgaria. There's all sorts of decisions when one moves to another country about why they do and where they go. We'll have to almost see what it does. But I think if we get in step with the rest of Europe in terms of access to these things, it will make it much more likely that we'll get sort of no more than our fair share, if you like.
These people that come from these new European countries, they do help a lot, don't they? I mean, a lot of the kind of lower paid jobs that British people consider to be beneath them are being done by these migrants, kind of things like cleaning in hospitals and working in coffee bars and things like that. And also, doesn't it stimulate competition? We got our house, we got a loft conversion done by some Polish builders. They did a cracking job.
There's 2 or 3 million unemployed in this country, and I think what we need to do harder is getting those people into work, and whether that's training, welfare to work schemes, whatever it is. It doesn't make any sense at all to have millions of people coming here to take jobs when there's millions of people in the country already who are unemployed.
But there won't be millions of Romanians, will there? There is a slight case of throwing out the word millions. That's a bit of scaremongering, isn't it?
Also, that's talking about everybody. Yes,
right.
For Romania.
How many million came in last year?
In the UK, it's about 500,000 a year settle in the UK from abroad.
And how many leave the UK?
It's about 300,000.
So, it's about 200,000 a year kind of increase.
That's 250,000. It's that sort of number.
Right, which is not that's sustainable, isn't it? Because when people hear the phrase, "Oh, there are millions of people coming in," there will be some people, Simon, who are perhaps little less better read than perhaps you or I, who will genuinely picture. 1 million Polish coming in, 2 million Indians, 500,000 Romanians, and 250,000 a year. Suddenly, it sounds a little bit more feasible, doesn't it?
It does, and the issue is, though, that it's that year after year after year after year, and it builds up, and, the UK population increased by 4 million over the last 10 years. And it all ties into Britain being, one of the most densely populated countries in Europe, that we do have these issues about housing, about transport, increasingly about things like water and energy too. So it does create problems because it is this consistent growth that we've seen in the last 10 years.
Simon, thanks very much for coming on. I appreciate your time. Simon Ross, Chief Executive of Population Matters. Well, what do you think? Sensible plans? We just have to be a little bit realistic. When people say millions coming in, it's not millions every year. With people coming in and people going out, it's about 200,000 a year extra people that we get. That's sustainable, isn't it? Or is it? What do you think? 08459 455 555. JVS is going to be talking about this after 9. He's asking, is it unkind or sensible to limit benefits and healthcare for immigrants? You can start calling him now if you want. 08459 455 555. Or you can send him a cheeky email. Well, by cheeky, I don't mean, picture of your bum or anything. I mean an email. jvsshow@bbc.co.uk. Put your name, your number, and a couple of lines about what you want to say, and you'll probably get a call back from one of his team.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the subject of this fly tipping, and it's a brilliant picture. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. It is brilliant because, it's like something out of a comedy sketch. It's the side of a house. There's a big sign saying fly tipping is prohibited. Beneath it, a load of old junk that's been dumped there by council contractors. Lisa on Facebook says, how does no one see this being dumped? CCTV is the only way you're going to catch who's doing this. And trust me, your neighbours know who are doing this. Well, they've had this poor couple have had lots of different things being done. This latest is from some builders who are working for the council in a house over the road. Now, I spoke to the lady and she doesn't sound particularly the confrontational type. I know for a fact I'd be over there, banging on the door. Oi! Excuse me? I think you may have left that behind. Could you get that now, or I'm calling the cops? 08459 455 555. Things like that I get quite feisty about, to be honest. We're also talking fake tans. The fake tan industry, this isn't sunbeds, this is just the creams and the lotions, right? It's worth £100 million a year in the UK. I think it looks awful. I think it looks terrible. It looks tacky. It looks cheap. I wonder if JVS has ever had a fake tan. Oh, you say... Well, I'm not sure. I bet when every time he comes in, I learn a little bit more about him. He used to smoke 40 cigarettes a day. He likes going off to Spain and Argentina and all these kind of hot, exotic places. I wouldn't be surprised if in the past he's had someone spray all over his face. I bet he has. I'm going to ask him. Because I bet he has. I think it looks cheap and nasty and tacky. Gina Nailsbury has emailed, I think as long as you don't go too dark, fake tan shows you're not a twit by going out and getting burnt in the sun. When our fake tan generation get old, they will have lovely skin instead of the old leather the sunbathers have. So don't mock. Well, you say that. We don't know what's in these fake tans, do we? This is still comparatively new. Technology? I don't know if technology is quite the word it should be. Look, Peter Warby, Peter, you spend listen, we appreciate your comments, but have you got nothing better to do in the morning? You're constantly on the Facebook page, and it's lovely to see you there as always, but, You wait, says Peter. In the next few years, when they say that the chemicals, and they are chemicals, in fake tan can cause cancer, the real sun is natural and better. As for orange girls with bleach white hair, yuck. Oh, that is the new thing, the bleach white hair. I kind of quite like that. When it looks a bit grey. You know, when it looks grey. I think that's quite nice. But I don't get the sun, the fake sun tan. The cream. It's streak. I think it looks common and it looks naff. Which, the more I think about it, makes me think that actually, yes, Jonathan Vernon-Smith probably has it at some point. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. 81333. Start your text 3CR. We'll be playing a little bit later on just a snatch from a local songwriter's song that he thinks is Eurovision winning material. And he's angry with the BBC because it's a closed shop. There is no way he could submit his song, and he thinks it could turn it around. Our dismal efforts recently could be turned around by his tune. I'll be playing that a little bit later on, so keep listening. Be nice to get your thoughts on it. Oh, that was very interpretive dance.
You like that?
I do like that. Fake tan.
Yes.
A month ago, I would have said no, you would never have liked it, but I'm beginning to find out more and more about you. I know you've got a 52-inch television screen.
42.
42. No, you said it was more than that.
No, 42.
OK, but it's common. I know you used to smoke 40 cigarettes a day.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you've had a fake tan or two in your time.
I have had a fake tan. Only on the neck upwards.
So you've just had someone spray all over your face?
No, I've done it myself.
You did it yourself? You sprayed on your own face?
Yes.
And why from the neck upwards?
Well, there's no point in doing it below, is there?
Well, why is there any point in doing it at all?
Well, sometimes, when you are blonde and porcelain complexioned, like myself, even I don't believe that. No, but when I sometimes look peaky.
Yes.
And I can't bear to look peaky.
Yes.
So there have been times when I've looked particularly peaky in the depths of winter where I thought, I know, bit of fake tan, shove the Saint-Tropez on, I'm going to zhuzh myself up.
Yeah.
And it just makes you feel a little less dead.
But why does it make you... You're still dead inside, though, JPS. That's the thing you need to realise. You're still dead inside. I think it looks common, cheap and nasty. I can imagine you with the Lambert and Butler on, watching Cash in the Attic on your 42-incher, with your fake tan going, yeah, I'm alive!
Cheap as chips.
I'm alive! Hey, listen, you like music, don't you? You love music. You can play music. You're a musician.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yes, you love a bit of Neil Sedaka. I love Neil Sedaka.
Ooh, I hear laughter in the rain,
walking hand in hand with the one I love. Ooh, how I love... He did a duet of that with his daughter, which I thought was weird.
Bit creepy.
Yeah. Anyway, so you like good, solid melodies?
Yes, I do.
Well, earlier on we spoke to a local songwriter, Raymond Marks, who he has written a song which he thinks is a potential Eurovision winner, but because of the closed shop system that we at the BBC employ, it can never be even considered. Would you mind listening to a little bit of it and then giving us your opinion as a musician yourself?
Yes, okay.
This is Raymond in the Light. Through the light, I don't know the words, but the tune is very, very catchy. That's written by Raymond Marks. Here we go. Up to the night sky. That's Raymond Marks. That's In the Light. What do you think as a fan of music and as a musician?
I once went to Walton-on-the-Naze Caravan Park and spent a night there in something called a mobile home. And they have a place called The Club, where everybody who goes to this caravan park, they go down the club. And in the club, there was someone on a keyboard and a young girl singing. It sounded like that.
So you thought it was good then?
Is she from Walton-on-the-Naze Caravan Park, down the club?
Just going to hit this button for a second.
This is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
What's on your show today, Jonathan?
Coming up on the big phone-in today, I'm asking, is it unkind or sensible to limit benefits and healthcare for immigrants? As you've been discussing this morning, ministers are considering changing the rules governing entitlement to some benefits, healthcare and housing, to make it easier to limit claims by people arriving from other countries. Well, from 9 this morning, I want to hear your views. Is it unkind or sensible to limit benefits and healthcare for immigrants? Do you know what I was thinking about when I heard this story this morning?
Yeah.
I had a friend over from Argentina last year, and she's 64? And we were walking through London. Obviously, she's doing the tourist stuff.
Yes.
She's walking through London, and she tripped on the pavement. She went bang down on the floor, cut her head open. Oh, it's awful. There's blood all coming down her face, and it was just awful. And we got her to the hospital, got her to A&E. They were lovely, you know. They stitched her head up. And they made sure she was okay. And it got to the end, and I said, well, do we have to pay something? Because I was kind of getting ready to get my credit card out.
Yeah.
I thought, I'll have to pay something. And the lady said, no, we wouldn't charge for this kind of thing. No. I said, yes, but she's not British. She's over here on holiday. And she said, no, this kind of thing, we would obviously, we would treat her. And do you know what? I thought, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? That here we have a holidaymaker, her memory of the UK when she went back was, what a nice caring country. When I fell over and cut my head open, they looked after me. They didn't make anyone pay. I just wonder whether removing that kind of thing, saying to people, oh, sorry, you've cut your head open, oh, sorry, you're having a heart attack, sorry, whatever it may be, if you're not British, if you've not paid into our country, then I'm afraid you're just going to be left, we're not going to treat you.
There's something
unkind.
Well, there's something about it. It's nice. But I don't know if you noticed, we haven't got any money.
Yeah, true.
So should we be giving it away for free?
This is what we will discuss at 9 this morning. Is it unkind or sensible to limit benefits and healthcare for immigrants?
Do you want to hear that song anymore, or are you...
I'd quite like to leave the studio to it.
OK, well, let's hang on a second. I can cue this up. I can do this.
1984, Walton-on-the-Naze Caravan Park.
This is now going to be your theme music as the consumer ferret, Raymond in the Light. Jonathan, away you go.
Bye-bye.
Bye! Bye, Jonathan!
Bye.
Bye, JVS! There we go, you've heard it. It's a cracking song. We're being a little bit harsh. I genuinely think that Raymond Marks, I think it's very catchy, very poppy. 08459 455 555. What do you think? You've heard it? Do you think it's a Eurovision winner? I think JVS is being a little bit stuffy there. Maybe we've got him on a bad day. Is it a Eurovision winner? 08459 455 555. Now, fly tipping. A Luton couple got so fed up with rubbish being dumped outside their property over a period of years that the council put up a no fly tipping sign. But then, it happened again the other week. Some rubbish was dumped there, quite a bit of rubbish. It was dumped there by the council contractors. It happened outside Jerry and Mandy Galvin's house in Denham Close. Our reporter, Ewan Duncan, spoke to Mandy, who explained what happened.
To find a large amount of rubbish fly tip next to our house, the adjoining wall of our house. The mess that was left there this week was actually left there by contractors who are refurbishing kitchens within the area. So obviously we're a bit shocked that these contractors who were responsible to the council were dumping the rubbish there and not taking it away in a skip as, they should. We did immediately phone the council. In fact, my husband phoned the 24-hour emergency line because he was so worried, but they didn't do anything. So my husband had to move the rubbish over to the other side of the road just so that, it wouldn't affect our house. Nothing happened. The next night we returned home to find more rubbish, and that's when we did actually email the council with photographs. My husband took photographs.
How often has this happened down the years?
I think probably about 7 times in total, really, but this has been the worst occasion.
What items were left by the side of the house this time?
A lot. Probably a whole kitchen or maybe 2 kitchens, or, it went along half the side of the house. Kitchens that have been taken out, old units, tiles, flooring, just building rubbish, really. Probably about half, a small skipful, say, yeah.
I gather on a previous occasion some of the materials that were left by the house were set on fire. What happened then?
It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was quite a long time ago, so the children were only quite little, maybe about 4 and 6. And there was a knock on the door, and it was actually a young lad. I think what had happened, I think him and his friends had set fire to it, and he sort of got a bit worried because he noticed that there was a gas bottle by the side, and he'd obviously called the fire engine in the meantime. And the fire engine had to come, we got evacuated. It wasn't bad, but it could have been bad, and it was just like smoke coming up. And my daughter does sleep on the end bedroom, so it was a bit worrying, really. But there are a lot of decent, hard-working people in Marsh Farm, and we take pride in our property, and, and it just does bring the area down, and it does make people think, Marsh Farm is full of scumbags, and we're not all like that.
Do you feel you got a good response from the council in the end?
In the end, but, I just think, why should we have to, they should have come and, well, firstly, it shouldn't have happened in the first place, but they should have come out that evening.
What do you feel are the risks when the rubbish is left?
If it's kitchens that have been torn out, you don't know, there could be nails in there, screws or anything, children could hurt themselves on them. That would be my concern. Especially, luckily not this week, but last week it was half term. If had done it then, you know what children are like, they'd just treat it as a game, start climbing all over it.
And it can't be much fun having to move it away. Your husband's having to do that. It wastes his time.
It was raining that night as well, and, and he was out there a good 20 minutes.
Well, we can speak now to Andy Walker, who's from the charity Keep Britain Tidy. Morning, Andy.
Good morning to you.
How much of a problem is fly tipping around the UK?
Well, it's clearly a problem, and I think your listener has just explained there, I think one of the big things about fly tipping is its unsightly nature and the effect and the perception that it gives about a particular area. Our latest stats on the issue reveal that there was nearly 820,000 fly-tipping incidents across the whole of the country in 2010-11. That's the most recent stats. We're currently processing new ones, and that was actually down by 13% on the previous year. But, given the fact that, we've got sort of a situation at the moment where, there are council cuts. You've also got, all sorts of, companies sometimes springing up saying that they're going to take people's waste away and stuff like that. And we know that there's some of those companies are, shall we say, sort of less than wholesome. Then, there's a possibility that we could see that figure actually rising as we go forward. And again, as your listener has just said, it's totally unacceptable. There's all sorts of, there can be dangerous stuff in there, nails, builder's waste, all that sort of stuff. And really, at the end of the day, there is no need for it.
Andy, what can we do to stop this?
I think we can raise awareness. That's the first thing. I think it's, although your listener didn't get an immediate response, and obviously I can't comment directly on what the council were doing in that area, but she did the right thing by approaching the local authority. That's the first thing. I think awareness is really, really important. We ran a fly tipping campaign a number of years ago, where we basically set up a helpline and a hotline, and we got people to actually, sort of essentially report it better as well, because if people think that people are watching out for them, doing this illegal act, then sometimes maybe they're actually going to be less likely to do it. So I think that can be done as well. I think the awareness thing is very, very important, and even things, down to, posters and signs going up saying that, we will take action, you will be fined if you actually do this. I mean, fines in court can be as much as £50,000. Now, that can actually focus the minds of even the most reckless fly tipper. Also, I think, and we've got evidence of this, from our own research with councils. Councils can publicise their bulky items collection service more widely. They can also publicise various charities who actually offer such a service as well, because many charities do now. And then you can actually, if you like, close the recycling loop on something like that. But also, I think one important area is we know that there's a problem of bogus waste companies who claim to collect waste from homes for, quotes, recycling. The residents will pay them to take away a sofa, and then often that item can end up dumped on a grass verge. Well, bona fide companies who offer that service would always carry a certificate called a waste carrier licence, and people should really ask to see anyone who comes round to their door offering such a service, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for what you do with your waste. So it's awareness, it's to be more diligent. It's also letting people know that this is actually a crime and that people will be prosecuted if they do it.
Andy Walker, very quickly, we've got 20 seconds. Luton, March the 14th, you've got a little campaign there. What's going to be happening?
Yeah, we're basically visiting all of our supporters around the country, actually, on a bit of a Keep Britain Tidy roadshow, and we've got one on that date. In Luton in the evening. We're contacting people that we know about who are involved. I'd be happy to contact your people, so hopefully you can give us a bit of publicity for that. But it's just to find out what people want us to do and do it better, basically.
Andy, keep fighting the fight. Andy Walker from the charity Keep Britain Tidy.
This is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Lots coming up between now and 9 o'clock, including a Milton Keynes gymnast is celebrating today after winning gold at the grand old age of 31. Well, I'll be speaking to her coach to find out how she did it. And is Buckinghamshire singer-songwriter Raymond Marx's song good enough for the Eurovision Song Contest? Well, he certainly thinks so. If you haven't heard it, we've put a little snatch of it up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR. And let us know what you think. You can either leave a comment there or you can give us a call, 08459 455 555. Now, this is great. A gymnast from Milton Keynes, who last competed at the Sydney Olympics, has become an unlikely gold medalist at the age of 31. Lisa Mason won gold in the 1998 Commonwealth Games, but gave up the sport for 13 years after the Sydney Games. She's now returned to gymnastics and competed this weekend, where she won gold in the vault. Paul Hall is the head coach at her gym in Huntington. Morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Gymnastics, I always thought, was children, basically. 13, 14, 15-year-old boys and girls, primarily. How has Lisa managed to compete despite her age?
Well, I quite thought it was children as well until Lisa came along a few weeks ago and decided to turn that on its head. She's managed it. It's a very, very unique thing, a very rare thing. I can only think of one other lady on the international stage from Germany who's competing into her 30s. But it is extremely unusual, very, very difficult to cope with the demands of life and to manage the impact on the body. But she's done it.
Why did she step away from gymnastics, Paul?
Well, I think it was the normal thing. At the end of the Sydney Olympics, it was a high point of her career, and she was getting near to retirement in her late teens, early 20s, which is normal for gymnasts. But then she came back to do a display at the 2012 Olympics last year and was quite inspired by the whole thing, looked around and saw the girls and thought she could actually get near to doing the same sort of thing, and lo and behold, she's done it.
And when she came up to you and said, "Paul, listen, right, I've got a crazy idea, right? I want to get back into competitive gymnastics." Did you laugh into your latte? Did you tell her to jog on, or did you think that she actually stood a chance?
Well, I'd never laugh at anybody, but I did raise an eyebrow, a little bit sceptical, but she's proved me and many other critics wrong. She went along at the weekend and did 2 apparatus and did a fantastic job. Her level of difficulty was the amazing thing. She's still doing almost exactly the same routine she did 12 years ago, and they're more than a match for her contemporaries, which is quite incredible.
This must be give you and others hope that Olympians and athletes can keep going into a later age.
Well, I think it's a lovely story. I mean, we've seen Beth Tweddle last year. She was in her mid-20s. She took a medal, obviously, in the Olympic Games. So that's a fantastic result. It proves you can do it. I've always had the thought that the spirit is the most important thing, and if you've got the mind and the determination to do it, then you can keep the motivation and do amazing things. Lisa's proved just that.
2016, Paul, what do we reckon? Will she be able to hold it all together for the Olympics?
Well, step by step. I think she's thinking about 2014 initially, to actually get back to a Commonwealth Games. She did the last one in 98 in Kuala Lumpur, and if she can get to the one in Scotland in 2014, that would be just an incredible story. She has an 8-year-old daughter that she often goes and watches her doing gymnastics, so it'll be quite a turnaround to have a daughter going to cheer her mum on.
How funny. Well, listen, Paul, thank you so much for coming on. I think it's a cracking story. Paul Hall, head coach in Huntingdon, who helped coach Lisa Mason, who's 31 and won a gold medal in gymnastics. Fantastic stuff.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is BBC Three Counties Radio.
As you've been hearing all morning, the Queen has spent the night in a hospital in central London undergoing precautionary treatment for the symptoms of gastroenteritis. She was admitted yesterday after becoming ill on Friday. All her engagements for the coming week, including a 2-day visit to Rome, have either been postponed or cancelled. She's said to be in good spirits. We're joined now by Dr. Kate Williams, who's a royal historian. Morning, Kate.
Good morning.
The Queen has always appeared fairly stoic during her reign. How significant is an event like this, do you think?
Well, Ian, this is the first time she's been in hospital, which has been unscheduled. She served, of course, routine operations. 10 years ago, she had a knee operation. It's the first time she's been in hospital, which has been an unscheduled visit, which is apart from, say, riding injuries, ever, essentially. So she simply doesn't go into hospital for an illness. This is the first time, and which is pretty incredible, considering she is nearly 87. So the Queen is someone who doesn't go into hospital. She even had her children at home. So this is something rather significant. It really is. I mean, we're told there's no particular cause for concern, that she's probably going to be out in a couple of days or so, and it is just a precautionary measure. But still, I think it does remind us that she's not 25 anymore. She does her routine, she does her engagement, she works as hard as she ever did, but she simply isn't getting any younger.
What's the protocol back at the palace during this time?
Well, the palace is, of course, she's still the Queen. She is still ruling, she's still reigning. It's not anything like a regency. Charles isn't taking over. She is in charge at the moment. She's simply in charge from her hospital bed. So, obviously, if there was a case of her having to be in there for a week, she will have her engagement, her reception with the Prime Minister in the hospital.
She left Windsor Castle in the back of a car. It was all very low-key. Why was that, do you think?
Well, I think she felt that she didn't need to go in an ambulance, because obviously ambulances, as we all know in this country, and we all must remember, are for people who are critically and seriously ill going to A&E. So I think she felt that she didn't want to go in an ambulance. She could go in her private car, and she just didn't want to make a fuss. She didn't want to have a big palaver about it. She doesn't like illness. She doesn't like being ill. She wants to get on with things. She always tries to resist illness. In fact, on one occasion, when she had chickenpox, she was so cross at having chickenpox that she decided to see the Prime Minister when she had spots, because when you have chickenpox, there's a time when you have spots but you're not contagious. So she was covered in spots and seeing the Prime Minister because she just wasn't going to give in to illness. And I think it's very similar now. She doesn't want to make a fuss. She'd really rather not be in hospital at all. But I think certainly her physicians have told her it's best if she is.
And I may have misheard this over the weekend, because I heard this kind of late at night that she'd gone to hospital, and I was kind of a little bit drowsy. She was due to go to Cardiff to give leeks to soldiers.
Well, she was due to go to Cardiff for a St David's Day celebration, which would have the soldiers there. So it was a big celebration of St David's Day. And of course, it's very sad for her that she can't go. She understands that people are very disappointed, because she simply knows that people spend years getting ready from their visit for the Queen. They're repainting, they're planning the songs, the kids are drawing pictures. She knows it's a big thing in everyone's diary. It's something that children never forget. So that's why she really doesn't want to cancel. She only cancels if she really has to. So she's obviously very sad that she's had to do so, and simply that all the engagements this week will have to be cancelled, including this trip to Italy, which she won't be able to attend either. And we don't know yet about next week's engagements. as yet they are still standing to be fulfilled. She has a busy calendar next week, and we'll see, I think, at the end of this week how she's feeling.
Dr. Kate Williams, Royal Historian, thank you very much indeed. Your Majesty, if you're listening, just relax. Just watch a bit of Jeremy Kyle, a bit of daytime TV, you'll be back on your feet. I mentioned leaks there, I wasn't being flippant. Producer Laura, I'm sure I heard this, she was going to Wales to give leaks to soldiers.
Yeah, that's correct. She was due to travel to Swansea to give the leaks to the soldiers, and unfortunately now she's not going to be doing it. She's been forced arrest, as you've just been hearing. It was with the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Welsh Regiment and their families, before proceeding to George Hall for lunch.
But why was she giving the leaks to Welsh people? Is she, like, being a bit racist? Is there a joke there? What is that?
No.
Is that a thing?
It's just what she was going to do. There's no explanation as to why she was going to give the leaks.
You see, thank you very much. If my nana suddenly said, I'm going to go to Wales and give leaks to Welsh people, I think we would have to sit down and have a very serious conversation. If anyone knows what on earth that's all about, then 08459 455 555. We played a bit of a song. We're talking Eurovision, because there's a local singer-songwriter who's written a song, and the more I hear it, the catchier I think it is. It's on the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC 3CR. I think we're getting calls about leaks now. Is this a leak hotline we've set up? Sally says, it's all down to money and viewers. Since the Eurovision Song Contest became a political platform, people have left it in their droves. What is the point in watching a rubbish singing show where talent is ignored over political allegiance? And Peter says simply, nil point. I think that's a bit harsh. I think it's a cracking little song. The more I hear it, the more I think, I could see that doing quite well on Eurovision. It's catchy. I was singing it the second time of hearing it. That's got to be a bonus, hasn't it? Go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. The guy is also on YouTube as well, I think. If you... I'm just trying to find out where he is. Hang on a second. If you look up Raymond Marks on YouTube, you can see In the Light there, and you can have a little listen and let me know what you think. 08459 455 555. I think we should be encouraging, kind of local musical talent to be taking part in that. Ken has called in from Flackwell Heath. Ken?
Good morning.
Do you know this thing about the leaks?
Well, I thought it was everybody knew. It was traditional. I mean, I'm nothing to do with Wales or the Welsh or anything like that, but I thought people knew it was traditional on St David's Day, on the 1st of March, which is St David's Day, the Welsh National Saints' Day, that they've often done it, presented leaks to Welsh regiments and that.
No, I was aware that she was presenting things on St David's Day, and of course I'm aware of St David's Day, but no, the presentation of the leaks has slipped me by. What does the leak...
So she goes to Scotland and gives out various things and that on other Saints' Days related to Scotland.
How funny.
I think that's right, but I know that the leaks thing is been going on for donkey's years, I think. Because, leaks and the Welsh.
Of course, in the cold light of day, now we're talking about this at 8:44 on a Monday morning. It does sound silly, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where the tradition started or how it started, or maybe it was some form of honouring the fact that the Welsh regiments did so well.
Yes, and I'm not knocking it at all. I like these silly British traditions that we have. I love Morris dancers. I love the fact the Queen goes and hands out leeks to soldiers.
Money and things like that.
Yeah, the Maundy money and all of that. But it's an odd world. It's an odd country we live in, isn't it, Ken?
Thank God we do live
exactly.
With a Queen, not a president.
Exactly. Well, there we go. Now we're getting political. Ken, thank you very much indeed. You see... It's a thing she does every year, is handing out leaks to Welsh people. I never knew. Thank you, Ken. Very kind of you to call in. Well, it's the thing that's got us all talking. Why on earth does the Queen give leaks to Welshmen on St David's Day? Well, Caris would know. Caris is Straightley. Morning, Caris.
Good morning, Ian.
Caris, with your name, I was expecting a Welsh accent, but do you have Welsh blood?
Long way back.
Okay.
I just happened to have the name because my parents liked it.
I love the name Caris. I think it's a wonderful name. Why on earth is the Queen giving out leeks?
Okay, there are several guards regiments.
Yes.
We see them in Trooping of the Colour and all this sort of thing, and they take it in turns to look after the Queen on her official birthday. The hat badges are different, as are the buttons on the tunics. They're in different numbers on the tunics. But the hat badges, the Irish Guards have shamrocks, the Welsh Guards have leeks, the Scotch Guards have thistles, etc.
Yeah.
So as it's St David's Day, and as the Queen, is... I don't know what her official title is, but she's overall, she's the brigadier or something.
Right. Oh, right. I see what you mean. Yeah, sorry.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
She goes to see all her various soldiers, regiments, etc., and hands out the leeks, which is a symbol of their badge.
Well, Caris, I don't want to say that you're wrong, but Catherine Boyle, I don't know if you're aware of her, she's the newsreader here.
Yes.
She's been messaging me non-stop, right, with her reason, and she says the leak arises from an occasion when a troop of Welsh were able to distinguish each other from a troop of English enemy dressed in similar fashion. So the Welsh would wear leeks so that they would know they were Welsh or something.
Well, that's really more or less what I've said. It's now a symbol, and it's on their cap badges.
At all. OK, well, Caris, listen, thank you very much for your help. That's Caris in... didn't quite say it like that, but thank you, Caris. I still don't understand it, if I'm honest, with Caris's excellent explanation and Catherine Boyle's excellent, if somewhat feisty, explanation. I still don't quite know why, but onwards and upwards. Now, a Buckinghamshire man is annoyed that he can't get his songs into the Eurovision Song Contest because of the BBC selection policy. Raymond Marks has written potential songs for 3 years, but because the BBC hasn't performed a national selection for the last 10 years, he doesn't get the opportunity to have his song chosen. Well, here's a little sample of his song, In the Light. I think it's quite catchy. To do something new, alright. Well, Justin Dealey has been out seeing what you think. It's a catchy little song, isn't it, Justin? You do your music show on a Saturday morning, which I must remember to listen to that one day. No, I have listened, and it's good. And you know your music, don't you?
I know my music, and I come with a Eurovision background on this one.
Do you?
Yes, my future father-in-law, Colin Berry, he was the UK spokesperson for the Eurovision Song Contest for years, and back in 2010, my partner got onto that TV show, You're Making Your Mind Up, 10 bands, 10 singers, and she almost represented the UK, so I come with a background.
You say almost, Justin. How close did she get?
Quite close. I think, what, fourth or fifth?
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Hang on, you're saying that your father-in-law, was he the one that, or the soon-to-be, was he the one that we now go to England for the votes, and it will be him?
Hi, this is Colin Berry here, and the results for the UK are as follows.
Well, so you know your stuff. Well, hang on, Justin, say hello to the gentleman that wrote that song, Raymond Marks.
Hello, Raymond.
Oh, hello there.
How are you, sir?
Well, I'm fine, thanks.
Good stuff. Excellent.
Justin, Raymond, Justin has got very close blood ties with Eurovision.
Yes, well, I feel, the more we get into it, the more chance we've got to win it. In it to win it, I think, should be our slogan.
Yes, well, it starts... Well, Justin, listen, I don't want to put the pressure on because Raymond's obviously on the line.
Yeah.
What did you think of that song? You were singing along just then.
I was singing along. It was certainly catchy, but it's not about me, Ian. You know that. I'm in Luton this morning. I have been playing this song to people and asking them the big question of the day. Does it have Eurovision potential?
Let's have a listen to what they said.
Well, Louise, you've been listening to the song. What's your initial reaction? Is it good enough for Eurovision?
No, I don't think it's anywhere near good enough. It's not catchy enough. And I think that is normally our problem when it comes to Eurovision, is that it's something that is always forgettable.
It's not catchy enough, so you won't be singing that in the shower then?
No, I don't think I would.
Well, Jackie, this song we're talking about here, do you think it stands any chance of being entered? Should it be entered for the UK?
I think it should be entered, but I don't think it'll win.
Why don't you think it'll win if it was to be accepted?
I don't think it's wacky enough. You've got to be a bit silly.
Just too run-of-the-mill, a bit too simple.
Yeah, too simple.
Well, Gillian, you've heard the song. Give us your reaction.
It's okay. It's a very tuneful little melody, nice sound, but not exceptional. I actually think the cleverer thing to do is what the Eastern Europeans do and send it up a little bit and create a bit of entertainment. That's entertaining, but you go on to the next song and you've forgotten that one.
Yeah. And do you still have Eurovision parties? I bet you do, don't you?
No. I
You
sit
get all
there
dressed
with a
up for it?
nice glass of wine, and what I like to look and see who gets nil point.
You cruel person, you. And lastly, here's Alistair getting the man's perspective. You are a big Eurovision fan. You've heard the record. What do you think? Is it decent?
I think it sounds like most Eurovision Song Contest entries. It sounds like most of the other entries from other countries that tend to win. So, yeah, why not?
So it's got potential. Why not, as far as you're concerned? If it was to be accepted, do you think it would stand a chance of winning, though? Big pause, no, then.
Possibly, but maybe it sounds too much like the others. I don't know.
Well, Raymond, what did you think? You said you were... Is that you playing that,
Yeah,
Justin?
I just can't take any more. I can't listen to it again.
Make it through the night. It is very catchy, Raymond.
Can I just make a little point?
Please
I think Eurovision is not only the song, it's also the singer and the scenario.
You're correct.
Now, I think one of the problems that Engelbert Humperdinck had was he was very elderly, and there was just him standing there with an acoustic guitar sitting beside him. Sarah Lilly is on the cusp of becoming a great
She's
star.
got a great voice.
Now, she's actually tall, long-legged, miniskirt, lovely look, makes the right moves. I think that's part of the deal. And also, the concept behind this song is she's singing to the audience and getting them involved. I'm here to sing my songs to you.
Yeah.
And so she'd be trying to get them to sing along with it. And my original concept would be that there would be a sort of signboard behind showing the words as she sings them to get the audience involved.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the song, it was also the whole package.
You're right. Eurovision has become... It's not a song contest, is it, anymore? It is about the whole kind of deal. There were a couple of the comments in there, Raymond, said that it wasn't wacky enough.
Well, the only snag about that is look at Sweden, who won last year. That wasn't wacky at all. It was more like Kate Bush.
Yeah.
The German lady, Lena, who won 2 years ago, she sings very straight with sort of, people dancing about behind her, but she sings it straight. But when Azerbaijan won, I think they had unicycles, people with hair 6 foot tall and things like that. It's difficult to predict exactly what will win, but, we produced this song to win Eurovision. It's got the right singer, the right sort of approach, and that's our feeling about it. We get a lot of different comments. Did I tell you about the chap that said it would have won in 1963?
Yes, you did. Justin, you present the music...
I said, well, then we'd have beaten France.
Exactly, and that would have been good. Justin, you present a music show. Just remind people when and where they can hear that.
That Saturday morning show is between 9 and 12, and we do play the odd Eurovision song. I think Eurovision over the years has been slated. It has become too political, but at the end of the day, come on, it's just a bit of fun. And what I would say about this record, it does sound very Eurovision-y.
Yeah.
It really does.
It really does. Do you think this is the kind of song that you could play on your show, Justin?
Quite possibly. I mean, obviously, I play a lot of older music, so I couldn't play it now, but certainly in, 50 years' time, I could probably play it then, yeah.
Raymond, what do you hope to get from this exercise? I mean, do you really think that you stand any chance of getting this in as a... I read that they've chosen Bonnie Langford to be the Eurovision artist this year.
This is the rumour I've heard. I think she's about 49 or 50, and whereas Sarah's in her 20s. I think this is the sort of... This is the sort of style, I think. Can I just make a little point?
You've got 20 seconds, sir.
The door is locked, closed and bolted this year.
Right.
What I'm hoping is that we can get a little bit going to say, let's go back to what works. Let's do the national selection. We did far better than we've done in the last 10 years. And I'm very happy that our song is put into the national vote.
Raymond, we have to end it there. You've been a cracking sport today, and I think you've got a real talent that shines through. You keep on hoping and keep on writing your songs, Raymond. And Justin, thanks for that. Do you want to sing a little bit more before we go? Justin Dealey there, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That's your lot. That's some good stuff today. If you want to hear the rest of that song, you can go to the Facebook page, and Raymond's song is up there. Back tomorrow at 6. JV is up next. Till tomorrow, ta-ta.
Getting beds, hearts and bugs talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain.